Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Daniel Webster said this at the celebration of the landing of the Pilgrims at Plymouth Rock in 1820. Our ancestors established their system of government on morality and religious sentiment. Moral habits, they believed, cannot be safely trusted on any other foundation than religious principle, nor any government be secure which is not supported by moral habits. Whatever makes men good and makes them good Christians makes them good citizens. Amen. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on a Wednesday. Good morning, good morning. Oh, thank you very, very much. I'm Zeb Bell. Thank you, Kate. You did a wonderful job this morning, as always. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, and they include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. We are now going to go over the river and through the woods to Gina's studio we go. How are we coming through this morning, Gina?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. How are you?
I'm doing well, and how are you?
I have so much to tell you this morning, and right after we get done with the weather in the first series of our commercials, I've got a story that you have to pay undivided attention to, or you will get lost in the weeds.
Okay.
Are you ready for that?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Do we have a pledger?
It's going to be either you, me, or Michael.
Oh, no, that means it's you.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Always, she does a great job. Thank you, Gina. And right now it's time for the weather with MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to everybody by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. Look for their blue door. All your carpet and flooring, all your kitchen construction, home decorations. They got a beautiful, beautiful display of Christmas decorations over there. Whatever you need to make your house a home, stop in and see Kyle and Whitney Cheney at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. And these folks really know how to beautify your home. You better believe it. Kyle and Whitney Cheney, Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Here now, the great one, Michael Rogers Weather.
If I got a weather story to tell you, let me get right to it. Now, I went to school in Mississippi State, and if you're not familiar with that school, they used to be number 1 in football. One of the things about Mississippi State, they did a lousy job on trying to tell you how to be the weather guy in front of a camera, but they knew their weather pretty good, and they talked about this, and I saw it happen about 6 years ago in the Magic Valley, and I don't know, it might happen again, but it's going to be interesting. Let's get right to it. First off, you're going to start off pretty nice, just clouds, and then the clouds are going to increase. You got a chance of snow, slight chance of snow going into tonight. You're going to get a break, and then you're going to start picking up rain and snow mixed, and the consistent of the whole deal is the temperatures, because you're not going to get above 35. 33, 34, somewhere in there. 22 for the overnight low. Here's what's interesting. I haven't seen this in 6 years, and the last time it happened, you got about 6 inches of snow on the ground. You've got an inversion right now, and a cold front is making its way, moving west to east, and it's going to try and break it. Now, 6 years ago, it broke it, but the cold front stalled, and where we were supposed to get 2 inches of snow on the ground, you got 6. So I'm looking at this thing, I'm going like, this is going to be interesting. Let's see what's going to happen 6 years later down the road. Let's see what's going to happen. But other than that, your weather pattern is not going to be boring. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. The weather's the only weather you got.
I like that forecast. Thank you, Michael. Well done, as always. Brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Thank you, Michael Rogers. Polly Butler is having a birthday today, and she is one of the nicest ladies in the world. And she has, every day, she has a cross to bear in the name of Alan. But I wish her a very happy birthday. Today is
You're going to slam Al like that.
Well, I thought I said it nicely. She has a cross to bear.
She does.
Yeah.
And then he's lovingly known as Al.
Well, yeah, there's other names I could have used, but I thought I would just kind of make a reflection of how saintly he is.
Oh, he's such a saint.
Tisk. He's loving that. I can see the coffee cup coming down going, I'm going to get you.
Well, and see, I already had the closing song. Nope, this is George Matt.
It's George and it's not Al. My goodness, Al's fingers. I'm going to do a quick commercial. I'll be right with you.
Okay.
Hey, don't forget the cold weather is here, and I've been telling you about having your furnace serviced. I've been telling you about putting in new filters. Oh, don't wait. Get it done. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 7:30 to 5:30. They're open Monday through Friday, and the expense to repair the damage to your furnace is absolutely amazing. So please take care of your furnace. Treat it like a member of the family. Be nice to it. It'll be nice to you. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. You stop in and see them today. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Mr. Bell, and how are you this fine sunny morning?
That depends on where you take me on this call. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to be nice for a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
Happy birthday to Polly.
Oh, great.
And, they are such sweet people. I just love them dearly.
Well, we do too, and we always poke fun at Al because he's an easy target, but he's a nice guy.
He is when he's sleeping, I think.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, when are the people, us, you, me, everybody else, going to wake up and get our country back?
I don't know. Donna, it's funny. This morning we got out of bed and walked out in the living room and had a cup of coffee and started watching the news at 4 o'clock. And Deanne looked over at me and she says, what in the world is happening to this world? We talk about that terrorist activity in Jerusalem at a synagogue. Absolutely disgusting. With 3 Americans dying in that fracas with these 2 terrorists. And you look at President Obama, he says nothing about it. All he says in very subdued tones is, well, Palestinians and the Israelis have got to calm down. Donna, these are American people. We've had them beheaded. We've had them axed with hatchets. We've had them shot with guns. When is our president going to stand up and say and address these issues and say enough is enough?
Well, he has to grow some cojones first. But, my theory is, pull all of our... Why are we over there doing humanitarian aid in the first place? Those people hate us. Why send our men and women into harm's way? And, of course, they voluntarily go. I understand that. But bring them all home. bomb the hell out of those people and get rid of the problem.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you. And then here's one that'll really burn your bacon this morning. Some of the people that we've released from Guantanamo Bay are already back on the battlefield, one of which is the point man, the head man for ISIS, and he's the one that's plotting on how to kill us.
Oh, yeah. He said when they were walking out the gate, I'll see you in New York City.
Yeah.
That should scare the hell out of people.
I'm telling you, folks, don't, if anybody says we're going to collect your arms, we're going to collect your weapons and ammunition and everything, absolutely hide it, store it, do whatever you have to, because we're in a world situation right now that it's going to be, and I do not mean to sound like a crier of the earth and the sky are falling, but I'm telling you, we're going to have to learn how to take care of ourselves.
Well, that's true, and if they want my arms, they're going to have to work for it.
God bless you for your call, Donna. Thank you so much.
You betcha. Have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
I got a story of a different nature here in a moment, and you're absolutely not going to believe it. So stay tuned, and it's really hard to understand. So bear with me in just a minute. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch with Thomas and Terry and their whole crew. And I'm telling you, the food is delicious, absolutely fantastic. And we have our lunch bunches over there, and people are coming in every day saying, woo, breakfast, lunch, dinner, the service, the menu, everything is fantastic at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, and their new location on Pole Line, right there in Twin Falls. Oh, my goodness. Absolutely phenomenal Denny's Restaurant. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Jeb.
Yes, sir.
You know how we won World War II? There was no such thing as rules of engagement. When it came time to wipe out cities, schools, churches, hospitals, everything went. And that's the only way you're going to deal with these people over there.
Yeah, Tony, I couldn't agree with you more. This sending our troops into harm's way with one hand literally tied behind their back and having to wait and see and wait and respond, absolutely ridiculous, ludicrous, stupid. It's everything that America never used to be before we lost our respect.
Well, he is a Muslim sympathizer, and it's evident he sympathizes with the terrorist situation that's going on.
I cannot agree with you more. I agree with you. I'm so frustrated with my complete dislike, my complete disdain for this president and his administration.
You know, if the Republicans don't hit Obama over their head, we're finished.
I agree. I agree.
We'll have a foreign flag flying over the White House.
Well, that and borders that absolutely are more porous than they are today. Tony, God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Caller number 2, I'm coming. Hang on just a minute. Stay there. Don't go away. Do not pass go. Do not collect your $200. Don't go to jail. Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, Sean and Mandy, the whole crew, they're telling you they've got all your winter needs. Don't be running all over saying, well, I'll get my gloves over here. I'll get my shovels over there. I'll get my warm clothing over here. No, they have it all for you. Heaters, everything, new coats, everything is right there at Valley White Home and Ranch. All your feed needs, and just stop in, have a nice cup of coffee or whatever, something warm right there at their little mini bar they've got over there, kind of a sandwich bar and hot drink bar. It's great at Valley White Home and Ranch. And don't forget our big Christmas, December 11th remote broadcast over at Valley White Home and Ranch in Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
I was afraid you'd call.
I'm going to be nice.
Al, I always appreciate somebody trying something new.
Well, okay, but I want to get this attention to the people.
Yes.
Again, people, we need you to be there within a mile radius of 300 West Highway 30 at a meeting tonight at the County Commissioner's office in room 206 at 7 o'clock to put a stop to this fiasco that's going on from the city of Burley.
Well, you want to name it the garbage receiving station.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's going to be tonight at 7 at the courthouse, right?
Right.
Okay. Al, we hope everybody shows up.
Too.
What's that?
We got some big guns going, too.
All right, well, keep them loaded, buddy.
Hey, I got a little deal for you. Remember you give me a little plaque that says, my cow just died, so I don't need your bull.
Yes, I'm glad you stopped right there.
Okay.
Okay.
You go ahead and keep picking, because I got broad-shouldered, buddy boy.
Well, you also have a very nice wife that's a dear lady. Treat her well on her birthday.
I usually do.
Okay, buddy, thanks.
Fix my lunch.
Okay, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Thank you. I got to get this story in. And Gina, if you're listening, help follow this with me, okay? You ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
All right. In Texas, you've got two neighbors living right next to each other, and they have a board fence between them. Are you ready? Okay, following me?
Following you.
Okay.
Got a wooden fence that separates the two properties.
Yep. Now, the one person owns 4 pit bulls.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the 4 pit bulls go through a hole in the fence to the neighbor's yard. Okay? And the hole basically looks like it was caused because the pit bulls, they got all incensed and mad, and they broke the boards, and they go over in the neighbor's yard, and the other neighbor has a beagle named Bailey. You're with me so far?
With you so far.
Okay, good. So the 4 pit bulls, they go after Bailey the Beagle, and they attack Bailey the Beagle, and they get Bailey the Beagle rolled over on his back, and this is really a sad story because the pit bulls injured him so severely he walked over by the house, and quite frankly, Bailey the Beagle died.
Okay.
But during this fracas, the owner of the pit bulls goes around the corner of her fence into the neighbor's yard, and she's trying to get her pit bulls back out of the neighbor's property while they're killing Bailey the Beagle. She gets bit and torn on the hands and everything because her pit bulls are biting her.
Right.
She goes back home with the pit bulls, and then the neighbor receives notice that the lady that owns the pit bulls that killed Bailey the Beagle, the lady with the pit bulls, is going to sue the lady that had Bailey the Beagle that got killed. She's going to sue her for $1 million.
That's not going to go anywhere in court.
I read this, and I could not believe it. The woman claims that if Bailey the Beagle had not been in the backyard, her pit bulls wouldn't have gone over into the neighbor's yard, and then she, in turn, wouldn't have gone over into the neighbor's yard to try to get her pit bulls back into her yard, and so she says her damages and injuries are all on account of Bailey the Beagle.
Well, I think that any good judge will look at this case, laugh in her face, throw it out, and then charge her and make her pay for the damages incurred to Bailey the Beagle.
Oh, and there's some interesting facts that have come out about this story since yesterday.
All right.
I just thought I would give them to you free of charge.
Oh, please do.
It has been found out that the lady that owns the 4 killer pit bulls has had 16 citations from the Galveston County Animal Control Office. And also, police have declared that each one of these ladies' dogs that are pit bull killers are very dangerous. The animals must be registered annually with the Texas city of Galveston, and a sign must be posted in White's Yard alerting residents of the danger, and she must have at least $100,000 liability insurance policy on the animals, and a 6-foot-high fence. She did not do any of this after all these warnings, and the family next door is without a dog, and this woman is still going to pursue suing Bailey the Beagle's owners for $1 million, and I hope this woman gets thrown in jail.
Considering all of the other citations and with the dogs that she's had, she's not going to get very far with this. And I'm even shocked that a lawyer was dumb enough to pick it up.
You know, and the family, and the name of the family that had Bailey the Beagle is the Baker family, and they were asked why they're not going to sue this woman and her pit bulls, and they had one of the most subdued and calm answers that I've ever heard. They said, it's not going to bring our beloved Bailey back. No,
it wouldn't, and it's pointless and fruitless.
Yeah,
I would file criminal charges against her.
Yep.
You know, but to sue somebody who obviously doesn't care and obviously is not abiding by the law anyway. They wouldn't pay, so it would be a point.
Absolutely. And, this woman, she should be charges, like you just said, numerous charges of trespassing, and just all kinds of charges could be thrown against her.
Yeah.
And they should be.
They honestly should be. Those dogs need to be taken away, put into a rescue, or put down.
Absolutely. But it's kind of a confusing story because, my goodness, how in the world could she claim that her injuries were due to the fault of somebody else when their own dog is in their own yard and hers aren't?
Yeah. Well, it's called a personal accountability, and obviously this lady don't have none.
There you go. Plain and simple. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. They have the equipment to get any job done right, whether it's Coyote tractors, Bobcat loaders, the big Doosan loaders. Oh, those are big dudes that can really get the workload taken care of. They've got all the equipment right there at 3 locations of Barry Equipment and Rental, and all the expertise, all the knowledge. They got a shop full of great people that are mechanics, and man, I'm telling you, if you're looking to buy and or lease, this is the place. This is the place. Barry Equipment and Rental, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. They've got all your equipment needs, and like I said, the knowledge, and they're waiting for you right now at Barry Equipment and Rental. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I've got another can you believe story this morning on top of the dog story. Texas Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. You probably all know who she is. She wears the flamboyant clothing, and this black lady is always out trying to say something that is going to stir up the press and the natives and everything else. Well, she said that she's trying to shame those of us that are not in favor of millions of illegal aliens getting amnesty. She stood up at a podium yesterday giving a speech, and she said that we, you and I and others, are not in favor of illegal aliens to get driver's licenses because we're selfish. We're selfish. We've got too much. We've led too good a life. And we're selfish and we don't want to share. Memo to Sheila Jackson Lee. You are a very conceited, arrogant woman that absolutely has no knowledge of the rights and the wrongs and the laws of this country, and especially our Constitution. You have no business being a Texas representative. You have no business running for the city dog catcher position because you're not smart enough and bright enough and intelligent enough to understand America and its values. Gee, I hope I made that clear for her. Right now, let's have our Capital Press Ag Minute brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. And they're telling everybody that they're trying to help those that are in need this time of the year. And I just absolutely have the utmost respect for Pacific Steel and Recycling. And they're asking for people to bring in new or gently used coats, clothes, blankets, toys, whatever, for children ages 1 to 5. And along with doing so, they're going to offer another bonus, $10 more per ton for scrap iron and a 5-cent bonus on aluminum. So please help these people so they can help others at Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. Time now for the Capital Press Ag Minute.
The Capital Press Ag Minute is brought to you by OnlyAg.com.
Growers' attitudes about climate change tend to be based on their own experiences, so scientists who interact with them should tailor their message to solutions on the farm. So advises Iowa State University sociology professor Lewis Wright Morton, who co-authored a study examining the opinion divide between farmers and scientists as to whether climate change is occurring and what is causing it. Morton says growers are willing to adopt their practices to protect their operations. Scientists need to start with the farmer perspective, and this can be effectively achieved by initiating conversations about adaptive management and bypass casualty conversations. With the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Hannah Brose.
To receive instant, exclusive, unlimited access to the West Agricultural News Source, register your account today at CapitalPress.com.
Thank you very much, Capital Press, and of course Pacific Steel and Recycling sponsoring the Capital Press Ag Minute, 320 West Main in Burley. Really community-oriented folks. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning. I tell you that Jackson Sheila Lee, I have no respect for her at all in this world. In fact, I got less respect for her than I do Sharpton. They're both of a kind.
Oh, they're just a couple of birds of a feather, and it's Sheila Jackson Lee, and she is a representative out of Texas that absolutely needs to be replaced. She has no idea of the values and ideals and goals for America and what it stands for, and all she can do is stand up and condemn the rest of us as being selfish.
Yep, she's one of the biggest hypocrites I've ever seen. When she wants to give up that big fancy limousine that has to bend in the middle with hinges to get around a corner instead of using a little Volvo, then we might have a little respect for her. Until then, Jackson Sheila Lee, shut your damn mouth and go back home.
What is selfish, honestly? What is selfish about wanting to preserve the values of this country and what the forefathers wanted for us and preserving our laws and preserving our dignity and our respect? What is selfish about that?
We ain't selfish. We're just trying to be the way we was born and raised, and by damn, I'm getting sick and tired of these minority people trying to tell us how we're supposed to run our lives, and they're getting away with the crap that they shouldn't be getting away with.
Well, now that I've got your ire stirred up, I'm going to have another story here right after this next commercial about a guy that writes for the USA Today. He is Dwayne Wickham. He is the dean of Morgan State University School of Global Journalism. He is a black man, and he wants to have certain words restricted from our vocabulary, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute.
Yeah, well, when he wants us restricted, let's start cleaning up that language that they use.
Amen. I'm going to talk about that. Don't give it away, buddy. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. See you later. Don't forget our friends with Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Absolutely. Gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps. You and your family will always enjoy the comfort. Don't forget all through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Open 7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric with Lennox. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Now, here's what I'm talking about this morning. I was slipping through the USA Today yesterday, and I found this story on the bottom of the very last page of the USA Today, and it was the headline, Haley Barbour, GOP can't hide their bigotry. And I thought, here we go. And the headline is from Dwayne Wickham, the writer of USA Today. And he goes through and says that when certain words, hold on, caller, I'm coming, I'll be right there. When certain words are used by the GOP, they are a reflection of their bigotry that they just can't hold inside anymore. And I am incensed over this, especially this past week, when Charlie Rangel, black congressman that has been in oodles of trouble for tax evasion and everything else, called all the whites crackers. But that's okay, because Charlie said it with a term of endearment. Oh, it's okay to call white people crackers or whatever. Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson doing the same. But now, this writer, Dwayne Wickham, says that we, the GOP and members of the independents, etc., we refer to the people in the South and people of color as tar babies. I want to talk about that. And the use of tar baby had nothing to do with anything about race when it was used by Haley Barbour and some others. I'll get back to that in a minute. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, this brain-dead woman, I don't know how she got the job she's got, but she's saying that we've got too much. What she doesn't look at is the fact that if all these people come on board, we won't have enough. I don't know how she ever got that job.
Well, in all honesty, and some people are going to get mad over this, Tony, what Jonathan Gruber said many times about the American voting public, and they weren't real bright, evidently there are some not real bright voters in her district.
Yes, I agree with that. But still in all, the facts are you keep bringing 6 million more people into the welfare system, baby. Yeah, you and I are going to we'll still be driving the same cars we've got now for the next 10 years.
You got it. She just absolutely, every time she gets up to a podium, and she's an extremely large lady, so they need to enhance the area around the podium. And I'm not kidding about that. They had to on a couple of occasions. I mean, she's like trying to back a Mack truck into a spot reserved for a Volkswagen. And and she calls us selfish, and she goes into diatribes. She is one of the biggest race people in politics.
Well, she probably needs a B-29 to get her around, so anyhow.
Yeah, with overload shocks on the landing gear. Anyway, Tony, thank you so much. God bless you, man. Thanks. All right. Bye. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This gentleman, and I'm using the term loosely for Dwayne Wickham, went after Mitt Romney, went after John McCain, and he went after many, many in the GOP, saying that their language has so many references to race. And he wants apologies for some of the words that the GOP is using. Okay, stop. Now, Gina, jump on your microphone for a minute. You're younger than I am, and I don't know if you can remember this or not, but help me. Wasn't there at one time a candy called Tar Babies?
Sugar Babies.
Yeah, okay.
No, there was not in my lifetime. There's never been a candy called Tar Babies.
Tar Babies, but it was Sugar Babies.
Sugar Babies. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know for sure, so I thought I'd ask. I am not a candy eater, okay?
Yeah, Sugar Babies are actually pretty good.
No, never had them. I wouldn't know anything about them. But anyhow, I was just curious if that was the same connotation with the candy, so I'm glad I asked you about that. But there are things that are being said by the GOP members that this man, Dwayne Wickham, has kept a diary. And he's going after the GOP and saying, well, Representative Jeff Davis of Kentucky said this on such and such a date. Now listen to this one, how picky this person has been. And I'm guilty of saying the same thing. And I know Gina, I've heard her on numerous occasions say something that could be construed as racist. But here's what happened with Representative Jeff Davis out of Kentucky. He said of the possibility that Obama might win the election way back in 2008, he said, quote, that boy's finger does not need to be on the nuclear button. And this man, Dwayne Wickham, went ballistic. He went absolutely nuclear because of the word boy. Now, I can tell you from being back in the South quite a bit, and I have been back in the South quite a bit, they, with their relaxed speech, they'll say, now listen here, boy. And they'll say, now, boy, listen to me. There's a lot of references to boy, and it has nothing to do with race.
It's boy or son.
There you go.
It's boy or son.
There you go.
I say it myself.
You have, and that's why I brought it up.
I don't care what age you are. Listen here, son.
Yeah, or I'll say, now, listen, boy.
Yeah.
And, in a jocular fashion, kidding, but it has nothing to do with race, never did have. But this man,
gender.
That's right. This man is compiling a list, and he's calling all Republicans, listen to this, and the GOP. He calls them loose-lipped moments when they allow the unreconstructed bigots inside the GOP heads to rear their ugly tones.
Wow. So basically he's hammering them on colloquialism.
Yeah.
That's insane. You've got 2 phone calls.
Okay, I'll take that call in just a minute. Don't forget Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the Square in Rupert. And what a great place to go eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner. My goodness, open Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. And they got a bakery over there. Wedding cakes, cookie bars, homemade bread, delicious cinnamon rolls. You ought to see the size of those cinnamon rolls. Holy moly. And the scones, oh, delicious. At Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the Square in Rupert. Good morning, caller number 1. Caller number 2, stand by. I'll be right there.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Quickly, I will tell you, Sheila Jackson Lee is one of the worst people in Congress, putting color aside. And as long as we're talking about racism, did you know that Al Sharpton owes $4.5 million in federal taxes?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this guy is the poster boy for what not to do and how to lie about it. Al Sharpton, absolutely. There's a picture of him I saw a couple of years ago of him laying in a beach chair with a pair of swimming trunks on and this great big voluminous belly sticking up in the air. And they talk about in the story, it was back in the New York Post, as a matter of fact, about how he's tried to avoid all his taxes and do under-the-table deals, business deals, and yet he can call you and I crackers as white people, and he gets away with it.
Yeah, and what bothers me is someone else who gets, say, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 behind on their taxes.
Yeah.
They attack you. The IRS attacks you.
Oh, yeah.
They say they are going to levy everything you got, and, they're really going to come after you.
Yeah.
But here's a guy that owes $4.5 million, and what are they doing?
Oh, nothing. Now, come on, leave the man alone. He's a United States representative.
I'd like to leave him alone out in the middle of the desert.
I agree with you. Hey, Keith, appreciate your call. I got another one waiting. Thank you, my friend.
You
God
bet,
bless.
right.
Thank you. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Apparently, that senator has never watched a cartoon called Foghorn Leghorn.
Yes. Yes. There's a perfect analogy of what I was talking about. I said, boy, listen to me.
Boy?
Yeah.
That's all I had to say on that one.
No, but I'm so glad you said that because there are so many references that are absolutely not even close to being race-related. And this nincompoop, Dwayne Wickham, trying to compile the usage of these sentences by thinking that they're racist, it just infuriates me.
Right. Well, on another thought, my dad, when I was growing up, that's what my dad called me.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, boy, get over here. I thought I was a boy.
Yeah, but you were luckier than I was. The word boy always was followed by some expletives when they called me.
Like, what was it, that one comedian?
Don't go there.
Damn it, Ray.
Yeah, right. All right. Hey, thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You bet. That's a good analogy, that cartoon of Foghorn Leghorn. And honestly, here I am, 67 years old, and I love that cartoon with that great big old rooster out in the barnyard, and he goes, I said, boy, come here, boy. That's it, Foghorn Leghorn. And there's no racism connected to that whatsoever. Everybody's got to stir trouble up. Let's see, where are we headed here? Oh, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Some of the great people that want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving, like the Sprinkler Shop, Paul, Jerome, Buell, and Kimberly Road. You better believe it, nice people. Sprinkler Shop has been offering irrigation, manufacturing, and excavation services since the 70s, and they specialize in designing and installing your custom irrigation system. And all of their staff wishes you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving from the Sprinkler Shop. And also a Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. A Child's World is the largest children's store in southern Idaho. And by the way, if you say that you heard me say something about a Child's World, you just go on in and say, I heard Zeb, and you'll receive 25% off any item that you purchase. That's right. You better check it right now. Child's World, 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley. Wishing you and yours a happy Thanksgiving. Oh my, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to do the weather, And then I got to come back with another absolutely ridiculous sign of the times. And we're going to have that coming up in just a minute. But right now, the weather is brought to you by our dear friends over at Mad River Laser. And Nicole and the rest of the crew at 502 East Street in Rupert. Oh, they've got all the sweatshirts, T-shirts, caps, and they can put any kind of engraving or monogram or whatever on them, stitching on them. Oh, my goodness, they are good. And they've got all the buck knives on sale right now, 10% off with free engraving, mention my name, Carhartt jackets, and those wooden business cards. They are just doggone nice. Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is over the ranch. Slight chance of snow coming up tonight. Temperatures are going to be right around low 20s. High today, it's going to be near 35. It's going to be cloudy. And then the fun starts tonight, going into tomorrow. You get a break on Friday, and then it really starts to kick in Friday night and Saturday. What's happening is that you've got a little bit of an inversion, and you got a cold front coming in that's going to try and break that inversion. And the last time I saw this happen, the cold front broke the inversion, but the cold front stalled. Instead of getting 2 inches of snow on the ground, you got 6. So let's see what happens after that. This is very interesting. Otherwise, the weather will not be boring from the day going on into the weekend, because you're going to go back and forth between either snow or rain showers or both. And the consistent thing about the whole nature of it is that your temperature is going to be right around freezing for the daytime high and in the low 20s for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to everybody by Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. Really, really nice, folks. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You're not going to believe this. In Berkeley, California. maybe you are going to believe it when I say Berkeley, California. Woo! There's some fruitcakes down there. That's where Nancy Pelosi's from. Anyway, in Berkeley, California, they just started this. They've gone to the gas stations in Berkeley, California, and they have put stickers on the gas pumps, on the handles. Hang on, caller, I'll be right there. And the sticker's basically saying, and I'm just paraphrasing, attention, automobile drivers, you are contributing to global warming by using this product. What? Yeah, now they're trying to shame drivers at these gas stations. They're trying to shame drivers out of burning fuel and saying that by burning the fuel, you, drivers, are a major contributor to global warming. Now, I just happen to think for a minute, wouldn't that be a great decal to put on the gas pumps like back in, let's say western New York or northern Pennsylvania or New Hampshire or New Jersey this morning, where like in western New York, they got 76 inches of snow in 24 hours. Global warming. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, yesterday, I'm kind of changing subject a little here, but I was watching Fox, and there was Wantagh High School in Long Island, New York, in Wantagh, the city of Wantagh.
Yeah.
And then they won't allow these Christians to have an organization, but, you know, if you're a Muslim, you can, and it's just, they're just prejudiced against the Christians. So yesterday, I called the school, and I got the superintendent's office and then the secretary, and she says, "Well, this issue is being dealt with by this person." And so I called that person, and I have her number if you want it.
Oh yeah, and, well, don't give it to me on the air. Call me after I get off the air.
Okay, and then she wasn't taking calls, and then the other lady that was supposed to be filling in the gap wasn't taking calls. But you see, what happens, you know, you say, well, how do you have time to do this, Randy? Don't you just talk on the radio all day? No, I'm a very busy person. I get a lot of work done. It didn't take me 4 minutes to do this whole thing.
Oh, I agree. I agree. You're very, very diligent about calling up, and you've helped me a lot with some of the numbers and some of the people, and I do some investigatory type things of trying to find people and how to get certain people on the air, like we did back in Iowa and other parts of the country over really stupid, frivolous things that are going on in our school systems. And I appreciate it. And it takes more people to get involved like you. I mean, my goodness sakes, there is an anti-common sense attitude going on in this country, and we got to fight it.
Well, this is the thing. Christianity across this nation is under fire.
Yep.
And if Christians don't stand up and fight back, however you do, I mean, you got to use, try to reach out in civility.
Yeah.
But you see, you still have to stand up and be a Christian soldier, so to speak. But you see, if we allow these people to get away with this, then you see, one day it's going to happen here. You say, oh, that could never happen in Burley. Well, I don't know. I think there's things going on in the local school districts that might surprise you.
Absolutely.
And so but it was a simple situation. But you see, this kind of thing, I want to hear an explanation from these people. This kind of thing happened down in Arizona. I called down there. I thought I got through to somebody, and she explained it to me. But let me tell you, they do not like being put on the spot. And they're really never concerned about who you are and whether or not you're really involved in the situation. As a citizen of this country, I have a right to fight back against this crap wherever it might
And you also have a very profound right to know what's happening within the confines of our borders as American citizens living in a supposedly free society. Randy, I appreciate you, man. Thanks. God bless you. I appreciate that very much. He's right. We all ought to all feel the need to put people on the spot and say, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to stop this? Why are you trying to take the words under God out of the pledge? Why are you trying to do this? Why are you trying to stop our Christmas? I mean, what have we done to step on your toes? I mean, if you don't want to celebrate Christmas, that's fine. You don't have to. There's not a forcing. Just go over there and sit down in the corner and lead your own little shallow, perverted life and leave us alone. And we're going to celebrate Christmas. We're going to continue to celebrate Christmas, federal holiday, and we're going to observe the birth of Jesus Christ. Now, no matter what you try to do, it won't work because we will continue to celebrate the birth of Christ on Christmas. And those are the things that we need to stand up and say we're not going to back up and take a step backwards. We're not going to be called selfish by the likes of Sheila Jackson Lee from Texas. And a person like her should be removed from office. Might take Northwest Crane and Derrick, but she should be removed from office. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your phone call to come in, which I know is en route, don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for winter driving. You know, you just got to be prepared. You know that this time of the year, with a snap of a finger, you could be driving in 6, 8, 10 inches of snow and going, oh my gosh, we got to get snow tires, or we need traction tires, we need pin for studs tires, we just need tire chains, we need whatever. Well, you can get all that right now, today, at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with the best in batteries, the best in brake service, the best in shocks and struts and front end alignments. Yup. Better stop in. See Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, Twist Family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Really nice people. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear Jonathan Gruber's explanation by White House spokesman Josh Earnest yesterday at that press conference? Oh, please. You could tell that Josh Earnest was backed up against the wall and had nowhere to run. And so he sat there, and the words were not flowing freely. No. He was in a world of hurt. But I couldn't believe that he spun the story. I do give him credit for trying to spin the story because, he just showed that, boy, when you're in trouble, lie. And he did. He lied. He tried to spin the story about Jonathan Gruber and the story of Jonathan Gruber being the architect of Obamacare and how closely Gruber worked with Obama and others of the administration. He tried to spin the story and say, well, that's old news. That's old news, and only the Republicans care about old news and Obamacare and Gruber. It's time to move on to something else. In other words, if this administration doesn't like something, or they feel their feet getting into quicksand, they always go, that's old news. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Let's move on to something else. This administration has stomped on the Constitution. They've hurt the American public. I personally know many people that have been hurt by Obamacare. And this administration is a lie, a farce, and they're criminals. Now, some people out there might go, oh, that's terrible. You can't say that. Yes, I can. They have lied on numerous topics. That's been proven. They have stomped on the Constitution and continue to do so, even from the president right on down. And they have hurt the American public with their idiotic ideology that is doing more to throw this great United States into a tailspin. This administration, 2 years, actually we got 793 days, 40 minutes, and 25 seconds left of Obama. And that's too doggone long. Coming up next hour, we've got my good buddy from Colorado, Doug Johnson, waiting in the wings to come on the air. And then at about 9:40, we're going to be talking to Mary with the Golden Heritage Senior Center because the great big Pilgrim Pride dinner is tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, November 20th, starting at 5 p.m. at the Golden Heritage Senior Center on Overland. Only $5 a ticket, turkey, ham, and all the trimmings. Door prizes, just fun for everybody. Tomorrow night, don't you dare miss it. I'll be back in 6. Oh, yowza. Good morning. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with our great advertisers, some of which are like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho,
I'll tell you what, ever since we've been with Western Waste Services, the service has been impeccable. They are always there. They're great big trucks. Their drivers are excellent, very, very polite, always at your disposal. Get on the route service, get rid of your garbage, and don't forget, too, they've got dumpsters in various sizes. You can have one dumped off in your garage or down in the basement, fill it up, and then, by golly, they'll come get it. Go westernwaste.com. That's their website. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them today at 734-6969. Oh my, also, before we get our guest on the phone from Colorado, we're going to have a good word here from some very, very dear friends of ours, and that's Joel Heward and his staff over at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Right up front, Joel and the family and all of the folks over there at Hanson Mortuary wish you and yours a very happy and blessed Thanksgiving. And don't forget, when there is the passing of a loved one, always remember their number. They will be there to help, and they'll help you dot all the I's and cross all the T's and take care of everything with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Let's jump on the phone line right now and say good morning to a dear friend of ours, and that, of course, is Doug Johnson in Colorado. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Not bad. Hey, listen, I've got a favor to ask you right up front, and I was going to call you, and you know I'm getting old, and some things go in one ear and completely sail right on through. I was going to ask you if you had time to be a little extended in the time this morning.
Yeah, Gina asked me when she called, and I certainly can.
Okay, I appreciate that. Gina's always on top of things. I appreciate that.
Good women in your life?
Oh, I am blessed. I have one that lives here by the name of Deanne, my roommate, and I have one that lives over at the studio, almost in realism, every day, 24/7. Gina, I'm blessed. Hey,
hold on just a second. Hey, Doug, take us off speakerphone.
I'm not on speakerphone.
You're not on speakerphone?
Ooh, boy, we're really getting an echo.
Yeah, it sounds... Okay, I'll work with it, but it sounds like you're on speakerphone.
Is it on a cell phone, Doug?
No.
Oh, my. It's got a different tone.
I always use.
Oh, okay. Well, it's got a different phone and tone quality. I apologize. Okay, so, Doug, you wrote a story in your blog about something that I've talked about many, many times on my program, and that's the cancellation of words. There are certain people that want to stop using certain words. I'll let you elaborate on that from the Horse Sense blog.
Yeah, I got to do this from memory because I don't have it in front of me. So this is going to be hard. There was a piece written in the Atlanta Black Star, I believe it was, that which is predominantly a publication read by the black community in that area of the country. And they listed 7 words or 6 words, I think it was, or phrases that were basically hidden meaning words that supposedly were racist or bigoted,
right,
and improper to use, and they said what they were and they defined them, and they used such words as thug. They said that you can't call someone a thug because that's referring to a person no differently than if you use the N-word. And there was a list of them that you might have in front of you. I don't. I'm working from memory, like I say. But
well, let me interject.
It was not only the nonsense of it all.
Yeah.
And that this political correctness is destroying us, but that this is one more way the left uses to divide us as Americans. And instead of standing together as Americans and rejecting this nonsense, people embrace it, people allow it to divide us, and we end up with situations like we have in Ferguson, Missouri right now, that will ultimately destroy our country if we don't stop this. And so, that was really my point of the whole thing, because I thought it was such nonsense when I read it.
I, too, agree with you, and I read it, and I saved it, and I've got it right here in front of me. And then last hour, and I want you to elaborate on this a little bit, last hour I had mentioned a newspaper story that appeared in the USA Today, and it was written by black writer Dwayne Wickham. And I'll be right up front and honest, there is no one that writes for any newspapers across the country that is more racist than Dwayne Wickham. And he was going through certain circumstances and words that are being used by the GOP. As a matter of fact, here is the headline of his article: Haley Barbour, GOP can't hide their bigotry. And he goes into absolutely denouncing the GOP and basically telling the audience that all GOP members and all conservatives basically have unreconstructed bigotry in their heads. I'm highly offended by this.
Well, it is nonsense, and I used to think confronting it was the right answer. I now have gotten to the point where I think ignoring it is a better answer, because they're not going to respond. They're not going to hear it. They are determined to take down our society as we know it, and they cannot be dealt with rationally or logically. These people who are leading this whole mess are really the enemies of America, and it's time for us to work around them and work with the general populace. And I have found in my life, I've had a lot of friends of a lot of different ethnic backgrounds and different races, And I've never had a problem getting along with anybody from any culture or any background. And what I find interesting is that once people get to know you, all those suspicions or whatever you want to call it drop. And I think if people start to get to know us that way, we do a lot better. I'll never forget when my friend Vince Coakley, who ran for Congress out in North Carolina and sadly lost, but I remember when he told me, he's a black conservative, I think you had on your show one time.
Yes.
He told me, he said, Doug, he said, and we were talking to the black community specifically, he said, you will have a greater chance of reaching black people for conservatism than I will, because they don't see you the same way as they see me. They see me as a black man who's become conservative as a traitor. They just see you as a white person, and they don't expect you to be any different. And so you actually have a better chance to reach them. And, I think that applies across the spectrum to anybody of any background or any makeup, that when we show them that we care about them as individuals and that we care about their lives and that it's not about their ideology, it's about them as a person, as a human being, we then earn the right to be heard, and then we can start to address this stuff. Because once you get to the point where you're allowed to speak, and where they will hear what we have to say, it doesn't become an argument, it becomes a discussion, and then the discussion can start to cause them to open up to consider other ideas. Because when they really look at it, Zeb, you and I both know the left has no arguments that they can stand on any facts about. They fall apart when you get to those points. But you've got to earn the right to be heard before they'll consider that.
Well, and I want to take this a step further because I'm offended by it, and I have been in the circle with all the outsiders throwing rocks at me over racism when Obama ran for office the first time back in 2008. And I fought back, and I proved that the Democrats and the liberals, really were the racists. Well, one of the things in the story that Dwayne Wickham writes about is this, and I want to read this to you, and I want your response, so bear with me just a second. He said, Representative Jeff Davis, Republican of Kentucky, said of the possibility that Obama might win the election, quote, that boy's finger does not need to be on the nuclear button. Now, I'm going to stop right there because that's the end of the quotation. But there was nothing meant to be racist, because if you've been in the South and the Southeast, the reference to boy is just part of the verbiage. Hey, boy, come on over here and fix my tire. Hey, that old boy's a good old boy, that type of thing. That's the reference from the people. But it's okay on the other side of the aisle, Doug, for Charlie Rangel to refer to everybody that's of white skin as crackers, and then when they were confronted by it, he said, oh, well, I was just using it as a term of endearment. It's okay for one side, but not for the other. That's the point I'm getting at.
Well, we know the left is nothing but a double standard. I mean, that's how they live. What applies to us does not apply to them, and that's the world we live in, and we will not change that by arguing with them. We will change that by our actions and winning people to our side. But, yeah, it doesn't really surprise me. I've seen it for a long time. And on the flip side, I've lived in the South. I spent many years in the South, and I know what it's like there. I also know that most people I knew in the South these days actually 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So it's not even today. It's back when it wasn't even the same as today. Most people worked hard not to even use a term like boy anymore. Old men did. I'll never forget one day a dear friend of mine who had come to our church and joined the church. He was a black guy, and I was going to an inner city church, but it was an old church where people, white people from the suburbs came in. They'd gone there for generations. And so we were in the middle of this minority neighborhood that originally had not been. And this young man got in trouble drunk driving, and the judge sentenced him to community service, and he was going to do that at our church. And he ended up, in coming to our church, becoming a church member and becoming a Christian, and became a dear friend of mine. And one day after Sunday school, the Sunday school building was in a separate, across the street from the actual church sanctuary. And we were walking across the sanctuary for the worship service. As we walked up to the door, one of the elderly men came up to go in, and my friend, his name was Larry, held the door for him. And as he went in, this man looked back at him and said, thank you, boy, and he went in. And I grabbed the door and let it close, and I pulled my friend aside and I apologized to him. I said, Larry, I'm sorry. I said he shouldn't have used that phrase. And he looked at me and said, Doug, he said, a lot of people will be offended by it, but he says, I know that man, I know his heart, and he means well.
Absolutely.
The man had his own habits and customs from his age and his age group. But my friend saw through it because he knew the man's heart. But we have to get to the point where they know our heart, where when we slip up and do something like that, they'll accept it.
Yeah,
otherwise, we are being watched constantly. So I'm not opposed to trying to be careful on some things. I understand that the phrase that you're referring to, Zeb, was not meant as a negative or intentionally bad phrase. But I also understand how they'll use it against us, and we have to be better than they are. So we have to work really hard to not give them the chance to criticize us, because it just weakens our chance to win people over.
Yeah, but I refuse, and I want to go on public record as saying this, I refuse to sit there and mumble and stumble over words because somebody might be offended. I'm not going to do that in my life. A caller called in first hour, and the caller was 1,000% right when he said, hey, wait a minute, even cartoons like Foghorn Leghorn, they go, hey, boy, I'm telling you, that's Foghorn Leghorn. It's not anything that can be taken out of connotation unless you want to take it out of connotation as to what it means. And I'm sick and tired of all of us having to watch our words so closely because, quote unquote, somebody might be offended.
Well, I appreciate that. I look at it from the standpoint of Jesus. And Jesus never defended himself. He defended God. He defended the Word of God. He defended the kingdom of God. He would defend others. He never defended himself, and he never was offensive. He was honest. Now, if something he said was offensive, for example, when he threw the people out of the temple for being money changers, and he called them a den of thieves, that was honest. That was true.
Absolutely.
But I look at it that way. I look at it, my life is called to win people over through love and consideration, not through taking a stand over something small that's really a minor issue I can change.
Well, a minor issue, fine, Doug, but my point is this. No matter what you do or what you say or what you like to do, somebody someplace is going to be offended by it. And you can't possibly create a system or a society that is a bubble of being a sanctuary where no one is offended.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and I'm not saying we do. But I do think we have to remember that if we're going to win people over, we have to work hard at it, which means we have to go the extra mile. You don't win them over by winning an argument. That does not work. You cannot show me an example where conservatives get into arguments with liberals, and when they win the argument, the liberal goes, oh, you're right, I give up, I'm a conservative. It never happens that way. It happens when they learn that the conservatives really do care about them, and they have answers and solutions, and they learn to listen to those, and they make a decision to change their mind and their heart because of it. So that's how I look at it.
Gee, it didn't happen that way yesterday with Jonathan Gruber being talked about by Josh Earnest at the press conference.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
They backed Josh Earnest into a corner yesterday over how dangerous Jonathan Gruber was with Obamacare, how dangerous it was for the stepping on the Constitution, how dangerous the Obamacare was written to hurt people and effectually put into a situation, a tax promotion in this country that was absolutely going to hurt so many people. And when they backed him into a corner yesterday at that press conference, Doug, he went with the spin of all spins and said, well, listen, wait a minute. You can talk about Jonathan Gruber if you want. You can talk about the negativity, but we prefer that it's just mad Republicans that are doing this, and we're going to move on because there are better things to talk about. That's how they're spinning this. They stomped on the Constitution. They hurt a lot of Americans with their lack of insurance, and what they did was criminal, but they're passing over it and saying, oh, well, we're not going to dwell on it anymore.
Well, of course, because they're not going to allow themselves to be put in a corner. And frankly, I'm not even sure most of the time when I hear the questions that are asked of these people why they bother to ask them, because we know the only answers they're going to get are either going to be a dance to sidestep the issue or just a flat-out lie. And I was on a show yesterday, and the host played a clip of Obama saying something about Gruber that was a lie.
Yeah.
And I said to the host, you need to have a daily Democrat lie minute where you just play a quote of any of the major Democrats, because they never tell the truth.
Yeah, that's right.
I find them to be an awful waste of time. It's more important, I think, for the public to understand what's really going on than what the president or his staff have to say about it.
Now, I want to ask you, and this is another thing about Obama, and I'm very, very concerned about the weak, very weak image that this president is portraying to the world. What happened in Jerusalem yesterday was absolutely gruesome, with 3 Americans being killed in a synagogue, and the brutality of the terrorism that was performed there. Fortunately, the 2 terrorists were killed. But instead of coming out and condemning it and saying we're going to get these people and more like them that condone this type of thing, the president just said in a very mild-mannered tone, oh, well, I think it's a time to urge calmness between the Palestinians and the Israelis. You know, these are Americans that have lost their lives, Doug. Those were Americans that lost their heads literally over in Afghanistan with ISIS, and the president basically says, oh, this is a time for calm.
Well, we know he is a Muslim sympathizer. We know he sympathizes with Hamas, with Hezbollah. We know he hates Israel. He's openly admitted he doesn't like Bibi Netanyahu. And he only says these things, says anything because he's kind of in a position where he has to, but he would prefer not to be able to. And if he can allow Israel to be destroyed, in his mind, he won't have to deal with it anymore. And that, I believe, is his ultimate goal. He does not like Israel. That's why he uses the term ISIL and not ISIS, because ISIL refers to the area with Israel not existing. And that's where his heart is. And this is just one good example of the evil of this president. We do know that the Bible teaches that as we move forward in history, that it will come to a point where the entire world, every country in the world, will be against Israel. And I think we're headed there rapidly. And for America to turn, who's been the most staunch and faithful ally to Israel all along, this is a major significant sign. But we as the American people, in spite of what our government does, do and should support Israel, and I think we should shun and reject our government when they do these things. I think the only good news is that there are still a lot of people in both houses of Congress that do support Israel, and that helps. But what offended me when about what you're saying that Obama said, that offended me, but and I shouldn't say offended, I don't get offended, but what annoyed me, I should say, is also the fact that he talked about Palestinian deaths, not about Jewish deaths.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was pretty sad, because it was Jews who were killed. It was
absolutely
not Palestinians.
Absolutely. Doug, I'm going to ask your indulgence and patience for a moment. I've got to take care of a commercial break. I'll be right back with Doug Johnson. Don't forget Whipple's Book Plaza with Colonel Dale at 222 West 11th Street in Burley. Oh, my goodness. I'm literally talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of books. I really wonder who is the person in charge of counting all those books. I heard at one time they had over 250,000 books at the Book Plaza. Absolutely outstanding, and they've got all the gifts. It's a great time to stop in and find just the right gift and the right book for people that really enjoy reading. They've got them all for you. The Whipple's Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley, proud sponsor of the Boy Scouts and home of the Pioneer Hall of Fame. Whipple's Book Plaza with Colonel Dale, serving you. Also, happy Thanksgiving wishes from Searles at 106 North Center in Oakley. Oh, hot stuffed pizza, locally grown beef, best burgers and fries in town, baked specialty buns, delicious at Searles in Oakley. Wishing you a happy Thanksgiving, along with the Golden Valley Warehouse at 468 West, 1000 South of Burley. The owners and the staff would like to thank all of their customers for another great year in business, selling quality seed to quality people, and they wish you a happy Thanksgiving, as does Magic Valley Irrigation, 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Magic Valley Irrigation, serving southern Idaho for over 30 years for all your irrigation needs. Don't forget sales and service of pumps and most brands of wheel lines and hand lines. Really good folks, wishing you a happy Thanksgiving, Magic Valley Irrigation. We're on the phone with Doug Johnson out of Colorado, a dear, dear friend. And Doug, right now, the big story. And I know you've been following it. You don't need notes or cheat sheets. You've got it all on the top of your head, I'm sure. What is this president going to do, or when is he going to sign amnesty for at least 4.5 million illegal aliens and supersede and step over Congress?
Yeah, actually, it was just announced that he will be announcing it Friday.
Uh-oh.
So I guess we now know when it will happen. It will happen Friday, and there's a chance he may make just a superficial announcement. They're saying tomorrow, but give more detail on Friday from a meeting in Las Vegas he'll be at. So it appears that that's when they're going to do this.
Well, now that out of the way, as far as Friday, but do people really understand the magnitude and how serious this is as to what action this man is taking?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think most people even understand it's going to happen, because most people aren't aware of what goes on in the news. So, no, I don't think so, and I think that it'll be one of those things that will happen, and sadly the Republicans will not do what they have the power to do to stop it, and it's very sad. I've heard two ways they can stop it that are very legitimate. A lot of people say you can't challenge the president. He has no way to be stopped. It's like the Supreme Court, which is a separate discussion, but the Supreme Court can be stopped by Congress, too. But they do have, I had thought of one, and I heard yesterday a second idea of how to stop him, and I thought they were both very creative. One is the the constitutional way, which the Constitution specifically gives the power to the House of Representatives to bring the executive branch under control by controlling the power of the purse. But the Senate and House, both leadership, Boehner and McConnell, have both said they won't do that. So they've already given up the one thing the Constitution gives them to stop him. They've already said, no, we won't use that. But they do have that power. They could say, we're defunding the White House if you do this, or we're defunding whatever. They could stop it real fast with that. The other thing I heard yesterday, Zeb, which I thought was very interesting, was that they could go in and they could, because they have the power to change laws, and they could change whatever statute he's basing this on, because he can't base this executive order on constitutional power. He doesn't have to. There's no basis there for it. So he has to base it on a statute of some kind to defend it, and they could challenge it based on that or change the law before he does it so he can't. And yet we see no action being taken whatsoever other than threats. The biggest threat being from John Boehner, who says, I'll see you in court. And while that's all fine and dandy, what it is John Boehner saying, well, let the courts do our job. And unfortunately, that takes time. Now, I'm pleased at who they just announced that they've hired to handle the case against the president. That's Jonathan Turley, who's a solid Democrat but believes the president has violated the Constitution. So I think he'll be a great one to take the case. But unfortunately, by the time that case would work through the courts, what I fear is that this thing will be implemented and there's no way to turn it around once it's been done.
Doug, I think, I don't want to speak for my listeners, but I would say that I think the bulk of my listenership here in southern Idaho is very concerned about the lack of, what's a good word here, fervor with which Boehner and McConnell will do their job and represent the GOP and represent the Americans that voted for their policies in the last election. I don't have a lot of respect for John Boehner. I'm going to be really upfront. I think he's a lot of mouth but no action. And as far as McConnell is concerned, we've seen his track record in the past. I'm more than concerned about these two guys.
Well, I am too, and sadly they're still there. They should have been voted not just out of their leadership positions but out of office. But once again, the public did not do their job. It should have been done in the primaries and wasn't done. And now John Boehner is setting up rules that anybody who disagrees with him will be punished, who disagrees with the majority of the party, which he controls in the House. And so for people to speak out against him will be very dangerous. They will become very powerless by speaking out against him. And this shows that on the Republican side there is also I will call it a mafia-like atmosphere where you go do it our way or you're going to pay the penalty.
Yeah.
And this is not the government we're supposed to have, and this is why it is so important for us to be making changes and doing it early. But Americans don't even, those that do get involved and vote, don't even pay much attention until 2 months before an election, and by then you're well past the primaries and it's too late.
I agree.
So we have a major problem we have to deal with the American citizens.
I agree. We have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Doug, do you think that the election, Geraldo Rivera said that the slothful Hispanic blacks and the millennials, the young people, chose to stay home? And did you believe that was really the case? Or do you believe that the people that cared and felt across this nation, because whether or not it was the governorship in Maryland or wherever, that the patriots that really care about this country came out because they sensed that this had to be changed. What is your perception on that? And I'll hang up.
All right, good question, too. Go ahead, Doug.
Excellent question. I agree with the latter. I think patriots did show up. I think the patriots were fighting hard, and there just needs to be more of us. We need to win more people to our cause. Mm-hmm. But we do know across the country, we saw in many, many places, even here in Colorado where there was record turnout. So I think that's good news. Now, I think the downside is most Americans not only are not involved and not aware of what's going on, but they certainly don't think that the midterm elections are important. They don't even think the congressional elections are important. Most Americans think the only election that really matters is the presidency, because they see the president as, and I'll use the term that was in the news, they see him as an emperor or as a king. They don't see him as a servant of the people. They don't understand how our government works.
That's right.
And this is why it's so important, and I'm sure your listeners, many of them do this, but it's why it's so important why we teach our children and grandchildren what America is really about and how our government works and what their responsibility is, because that's the only way we maintain control of our government is if we're involved.
You know, though, Doug, the school systems, and we've talked about this in the past, they are not doing the job, and they'll blame it on whether it's budgets or whether it's time constraints or whatever, you know. It's almost like PE class. In order to get in shape, it's not cutting back on the food during the lunch hour. It's an daily exercise program with PE. Well, above that, in order to understand and appreciate this country, it's got to be a daily appreciation and learning about what makes this country great. And whether it's PE for the body or whether it's a class on civics and the Constitution to help our minds be better Americans, we're not doing that right now.
I agree entirely, and this goes back not just to what our schools are or are not doing, and they're terrible, and I've gotten to a point where I'm almost outright opposed to public education, and I'm married to a retired public school teacher, but she agrees too. Homeschooling is the only thing keeping America from going over the edge right now from our educational standpoint. Our colleges and universities and even our elementary schools and middle schools and high schools are being led by teachers who are trained and indoctrinated by hardcore leftists. These people do not they actually hate America, and they bring that ideology into the classroom and pass it on to the children. And this is not acceptable. The other part of the problem is that we have too many Americans who think, well, the school is going to educate my kids, and that's not right. It is our responsibility to educate our children. The schools are just supposed to supplement that. And parents who don't understand, that's their responsibility. Get off the couch, turn off the blasted computer, turn off the video games, turn off the football games, and spend your evenings with your children teaching them. That is when America starts to turn around. It's going to be up to us to teach our children and get them out of the control of the school systems, because the schools are destroying them. But we also then need to make changes in the school systems, and this is why, Zeb, I say we need to be out there running for local office. Positions on the school board are critical. Positions in the mayor's office and city council, these things are critical to the future of our country. It all affects the grassroots, and if we don't change what we're doing at the grassroots level with our children, there will be no future for our country, because we have to raise the leaders of tomorrow.
Okay, one other subject that I wanted to talk on a little bit is the absolute idiocy that's going on within this government, the Obama administration, with the releasing of prisoners from Guantanamo, Gitmo, and these same terrorists, these same punks and thugs are going back home to join up with ISIS, one of which is now the point man for ISIS and organizing all the assaults and the deadly murders against Americans. Where is the common sense of letting these people go, and especially go back to the homeland to get a resumption of trying to kill Americans?
Well, I agree, and I think one thing that we miss, because I hear a lot of people complaining about this right now, but there were over 500 detainees in Guantanamo released under Bush, and many of them went back to war against us too. And nobody was screaming like they should have been about that. There is something wrong in our system. This isn't just Obama. There's something in our system, the way we're handling this stuff, that needs to be stopped, because obviously all we're doing is giving these people a paid vacation and then sending them back to fight against us and kill our people, and it's ridiculous.
Doug, I really appreciate your taking the extra time this morning to talk about various things. One of the subject, real quick, I wanted to mention to you, I don't know if you heard about this or not, but in Berkeley, California, they started putting little stickers on the handles of the gas pumps, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically it says that by you buying gas, you are contributing to global warming. Shame on you. This started in Berkeley, California. Quick response.
Well, I guess it couldn't be a more appropriate place. It's one of the liberal meccas of the universe. Surprised it didn't happen here in Boulder, Colorado, but it's probably not far behind. It doesn't really surprise me. They also just recently surveyed a group of students about global warming, and they all insisted that things are getting warmer. I don't see it getting any warmer. Right now, we have people out there, in fact, some experts have come out and said that we are looking like we're entering a 30-year period starting now that's going to drop our average temperatures across the country 20 to 40 degrees.
That's right.
It will wipe out much of our food belts and create huge, massive food problems and heating problems because everything's going to be so much colder. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I know right now the U.S. is going through some real cold spells. I guess you've got it really cold there. We just got past that. We're back into the low 40s and upper 30s right now during the day. But, last week when I talked to you, the high that day was supposed to be 3 degrees. It was 2 below when I talked to you. It never got above 2 below. And we went through a week of that. And so I don't know what's happening, but what I do know is I don't see any warming going on.
Tell the people of western New York State, over by Buffalo and Pembroke this morning, that they have just gone through record snowfall of 76 inches in 24 hours. 76 inches in 24 hours. Please stand out on a snowdrift and preach global warming to them today.
Well, absolutely. In fact, I saw a story yesterday, I'll say real quickly. It was fascinating. It had some graphs in it and showed that we go through cycles of high snow and cold, and the last really high cycle of this we had was in the 1960s. And the 1960s, I remember in Minnesota, when I was a kid, and in school, it was very common at the University of Minnesota and at home around the Twin Cities where I lived to have at least 2 feet of snow on the ground all winter.
Yes.
I mean, that was just normal. And then that went away. I left in the 70s, and friends told me for years, it's not the same anymore, it's warmed up. Well, I guess that's coming back now. We're coming back to those kind of levels. And so, and I also had friends from Buffalo, New York, ironically, who would tell me about the same kind of snow you just reported on. And I think what we're seeing is what you and I have talked about a number of times. This is a normal earthly cycle.
That's right.
And we just have a bunch of morons who want to make money out of this and hurt the American public, as opposed to facing reality that this is just a cycle the earth goes through.
Absolutely, and I agree with your emphasis on the word morons. Thank you very much, Doug Johnson, Colorado. Dear friend, have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Thank you, Zeb. Take care.
Take care. Thank you very much. I enjoyed talking to old Doug. Thank you very, very much. Hey, let's ride. They're going to have an open house this weekend. Yep, on Friday and Saturday, the 21st and 22nd. Huge discounts in the store. Yep, door prizes, food. Holy cow. All kinds of Christmas gifts over there for you. Accessories. Wow. What are you waiting for? Let's ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, where the fun is sold. They've got something for everybody. All the snow machine material. Don't forget to get your ATVs right there. And if you do have ATVs currently, get them serviced for the wintertime. Yes, sirree. And believe me, they got something new. Fill your tires with nitrogen. The tires will last longer and the air pressure will not fluctuate. That's straight from the man that knows, old Nick over there at Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. We're going to have Mary Scott on the phone with us in just a moment. Stand by, Mary. I'll be right there. Don't forget, too, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley. Yesterday, I was talking about the recliners, and a gentleman called me, and he said, I'm glad to hear that. He says, I was looking for a store that had all kinds of recliners. I could go in and find the right one. I said, yep. That's the place. Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Like I said, a recliner is just really a personal kind of furniture. You got to go in and try them on. You got to see if it's right for a real tall person, a real short person, or if it fits better, a real skinny person, or people like most of us. Anyway, be sure and check them out at Lee's Furniture. And they've got a lot of dining room sets. A lot of dining room sets. Right now is the time to check them out right before Thanksgiving. Hey, get over there today. Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Let's go to the phone line real quick. And a lovely lady on the phone with us talking about the first annual Pilgrim Pride dinner tomorrow night at the Golden Heritage. Hello, Mary Scott. How are you?
Hello there, Bill. I am doing really well. A little cold, but not bad.
Oh, Mary, it's that time of the season.
Yes.
Now, tomorrow night, we want to stress the fact that the Golden Heritage Senior Center is going to have the first annual Pilgrim Pride Thanksgiving dinner. Tell us all about it.
Well, it's going to start at about 5 o'clock. We'll open the doors. We're going to have turkey, dressing, ham, mashed potatoes, gravy, desserts. Let's see, we're going to have games. Some of the games are spin the bottle, the turkey beanbag toss. There's an actual turkey that they're going to throw some of the beanbags at in the hole.
Yep.
And then there's bobbing for apples. So, and if you get in, win anything, there's a little a prize for you. We're going to be having door prizes. We're going to have a raffles too. Now, one of the raffles will have a $100 bill in it. So somebody could have a nice Christmas, you know.
Oh, man, a $100 bill inside one of those prizes? That's fantabulous. Have you got a phone off the hook over there?
I bet you we do. Hold on.
Okay, I'll hold on just for a second so you can hang that phone up.
Okay. Yeah, Joe accidentally did.
It's still going. Yeah. It's still beeping.
There we go. How's that? Better?
Yes, ma'am. Mary, and we want to stress the fact this morning that this is an event we want all the family to show up for, whether the kids or whether it's grandpa and grandma, whether it's mom and dad, because the proceeds are going to help generate funds for the Meals on Wheels.
Absolutely. We're going to even have what they call the young dance group called the Cloggers, which are just 50 young children that come in with their parents, hopefully grandparents, cousins, brothers, sisters, you know, the whole bit. And they're going to be doing some entertainment for us also. Plus, our other entertainment is going to be Linda Croft, who is a beautiful singer. Mm-hmm. Keith Ramsey.
Yep.
I think he's going to sing several songs for us.
Yes.
Another wonderful singer is Dan Hendricks.
Oh, he does a great job.
Yep. I believe he's going to sing the Lord's Prayer.
Oh, my.
Brings tears to my eyes.
Oh,
my. And then we're having Pastor Divine. He's going to be singing some Christmas songs for us. A lot of us that are serving are coming in costume to the time of the year, you know, like an Indian or a pilgrim or those kind of things. So if you're wanting to come as a in costume, we do have a door prize for that.
All right. And, you know, old Bob, my buddy Bob with the camera, he's going to be taking some pilgrim pictures of people behind those cutouts.
I have to tell you, the person that did those, we had the ladies from the art that do all the paintings there on Thursdays, painted them, but we had a young woman, Chris and Alan, I'm all of a sudden at a loss at the last name.
No, that's all right. Just Chris and Alan's good enough for right now. Go ahead.
Their daughter drew those pictures, and we have an Indian, one of the ones that was of the time period. We have a pilgrim man, a pilgrim woman,
and
pilgrim children.
And all they are, they're cutouts so that you can look like you're actually the person.
Absolutely. You just put your darling face in that little cutout.
Okay. And again, I want to stress that the proceeds are helping with the Meals on Wheels. You know, Mary, over the years, we've done a lot of different promotions and fundraisers for the Meals on Wheels, but I want you to elaborate a little bit how important that is for the shut-ins to get that meal on Meals on Wheels.
that is probably sometimes their only meals. Mm-hmm. And it's the only time that they may see somebody. That way, as a person that is going out to deliver those meals, we have the opportunity to make sure that they're okay.
Right.
Give them just a little friendly smile or say, how are you? And make sure that they're okay, because without those meals on the wheels, they cannot get out. And that is one of the requirements, that they are not capable of coming down to the center. If they can come, they need to come to the center.
Right.
But if they're homebound, this is something that allows them a hot meal, allows them to see somebody, visit with someone, and it's extremely important that they have that opportunity.
I agree. Now, I want to stress again, this is going to be tomorrow night, the 20th, and it starts at 5 p.m., and then at approximately 5:30, we're going to have a posting of the colors with the Youth for Liberty. George Mass's great group of young people, and like you said, all the singers, and then we're going to have just a lot of door prizes given away. Everybody will be given a ticket when they come in, and the ticket price for the meal is only $5. Does that kind of cover it, Mary?
No, there's one more important thing.
Oh.
We have a master of ceremonies by the name of Zeb Bell.
Oh, no. That's, my goodness, I met him once.
You did? Well, he is good.
Okay.
So we do so appreciate that. If they have any questions at all, they're welcome to call over at the center, and that number is 878-8646.
Well done.
We can help them.
Well done, Mary. God bless you, and we will see you tomorrow at the Golden Heritage for the big dinner, Pilgrim Pride dinner, tomorrow night at 5 p.m.
I look forward to having all of our customers and all of our people and the mothers and fathers and all the families to come and enjoy.
All right, Mary. God bless. See you later.
Same to you. God bless.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Thank you. Oh, my goodness, I'm running late. It's time for the weather forecast. And the weather is brought to you this hour by Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is over the ranch. Slight chance of snow coming up tonight. The temperature's going to be right around low 20s. High today, it's going to be near 35. It's going to be cloudy. And then the fun starts tonight, going into tomorrow. You get a break on Friday, and then it really starts to kick in Friday night and Saturday. What's happening is that you've got a little bit of an inversion, and you got a cold front coming in that's going to try and break that inversion. And the last time I saw this happen, the cold front broke the inversion, but the cold front stalled. Instead of getting 2 inches of snow on the ground, you got 6.
Oh, my.
So let's see what happens after that. This is very interesting. Otherwise, the weather will not be boring from the day going on into the weekend, because you're going to go back and forth between either snow or rain showers or both. And the consistent thing about the whole nature of it is that your temperature is going to be right around freezing for the daytime high and in the low 20s for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to everybody by Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley with Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Gina, how you doing this morning?
Well, doing okay. Just getting some other work done on the side.
Oh, okay. You finished the, what was it you had for breakfast?
That was a sausage and egg biscuit.
Oh, do you realize what I would do for a sausage and egg biscuit right now?
You would give up your cardboard.
I hate that diet. I just absolutely detest that diet. When I have to give a commercial for one of the many restaurants that we have on this program.
Doesn't it just kill you?
Oh, I mean, tooth marks in the microphone. I can't stand this. Hey, by the way, I've got something I want to ask you about. Are you really diligent about locking up your home, either when you're at home or away from home?
I try. That's usually my brother's job.
Well, I just want to urge a word of caution, and I want to get your response on this. I think a lot of us that I'm older than you, but you were also raised in a rural atmosphere. I think we get a little blasé and a little bit, immune to any of the problems that are going on.
We're trusting, and, it's like we live in a small town, and we live in a small neighborhood, and we know everybody, and so growing up, we never locked our doors, and we always left the keys in the car, and that was just Elk River.
Yeah.
That's because everybody knew everybody, and the town, you could literally yell and hear everybody across town.
Well, the reason I'm bringing this up is it's not just because Kelton Hatch walked in the door. It's a very serious thing. I've been talking to quite a few law enforcement people.
Yeah.
And also, I've been talking to some citizens around the area, from way up in eastern Idaho all the way down to the mountain home area and everything. And there has been quite a few home break-ins and concerns for people.
Well, and it's the time of the year, though, too.
Yeah, and I want to just say this, and I absolutely will take the blame for this if it offends anybody, because this is the way I feel. Number one, I don't care what your family situation is, whether you got a whole passel of kids or whether it's just mom and dad or if it's somebody living by themselves. Lock your doors 24/7 while you're in the house, especially in the early morning hours and the early evening hours prior to going to bed. And if you hear a knock on the door at night, at dusk, or early in the morning, do not turn on your porch light and illuminate where you are in the house. Turn on the porch light, but not any illumination for yourself in the house. And keep something as far as protection by the door, and just be very, very wary.
Yeah, you especially this time of the year, there's a lot of scammers going on. A lot of people will go through your cars, and honestly, during the holiday season, I am very diligent about making sure that my property and the cars and everything's locked up. But it just happens to be that time of the year. People are going to try and take advantage of you. People are going to try and take your hard-earned presents that you put underneath the tree. So yeah, be diligent. And honestly, this is what I do. I never shut my front porch light off.
Well, and that's
because
good.
If somebody's going to come to my front door, we don't usually turn on the lights in the house, and so we just go to the front door. And so my light, and neighbors can see who's coming and going, and so it's just kind of a safety thing. And so if you feel comfortable, always leave your porch light on.
Yeah, I had a report yesterday from a very, very dear friend of mine that said, please be on the lookout. There have been some break-ins, and in broad daylight.
In broad daylight,
yeah. Broad daylight.
And that's pretty bold and brazen.
So I do know that maybe a good dog like Ruby, or maybe a real steady 6-digit friend like a 357 by the back door might not be a bad thing to have.
No, it would be a very good thing to have. And your animals, if they start barking, then you pay attention.
One thing, I mean this, we've got a dog outside, and we call him Red, and he is Deanne's dog. He is Deanne's dog and no one else's dog. No one else can pet him. I can a little bit. But who was it? Mr. T coined the phrase, pity the fool. Remember that? You don't want to be between that dog and my wife, because you'd better have a short kind of a novel of your life, because that's what's going to pass before your eyes.
See, and that's a good dog. He's
absolutely.
Got right now.
I've got to take this commercial, and I'll be right there. Caller, stand by. Don't forget Cameron and Siemens Life Insurance, Health Insurance, Retirement Planning, Employee Benefits, all with our friends Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, always devoted to serving you and your successful future. Please give them a call for an appointment today for your insurance needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, 436-4424. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, talking about security this time of year. If you have a GPS in your car, you should not have your home address in it.
That's a good
thought. Somebody you come in, say like Walmart, they can step in your car in a minute, pull up your GPS, get your address, and they know where you're at.
I think that's an excellent thought. Don't have that on your GPS as a giveaway. That's well said, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
God bless you. Caller number 2, go ahead. Good morning. You're on the air.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
I can. Real fast.
Up on my...
Yeah, real fast. Go.
Okay, yeah. There's a representative for the state of Idaho by the name of Judy Boyle. She wrote a letter to the editor, and I sent you a copy of it.
I've got a copy of it right here on my desk, and we're going to be talking about that possibly tomorrow morning on the program. And you are breaking up. I'm losing you, so I appreciate your call, but I do have it, and thank you very much. We're going to be talking about that story by Judy Boyle. She's been a state senator or representative. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, over the many years, and she wrote a story about some of the messes that are going on in the state, and we're not going to run and hide from them. We're going to talk about them tomorrow on the program. We're going to take a little break, and then coming up next hour, and I have no idea why he was graced with a cupcake when he walked in the door. You want your mic on? You want to say something? Go ahead.
It's because your wife is a sweetheart.
I know that, but you're also getting privileges of things I don't get.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to say there, Zeb.
I do.
Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas.
Happy Thanksgiving yourself. I'll see you next hour. I'll be back in 6. Back we are. You know, we always should have a disclaimer at the beginning of the show when Kelton Hatch and the Fish and Game are on. Let me see, what should that disclaimer say? Caution. Anything you may hear over the next hour might alter your life permanently. Listen with care. There you go. Good morning, you old buzzard. I'm still upset that she treats you so nice when you come out here and get a frosted biscuit.
That wasn't as frosted. That was a spicy pumpkin biscuit.
Oh, get closer to the microphone.
And it was pretty tasty.
Yeah, you need it. You know, you've been putting on a little heft.
Oh, thanks.
No,
I've lost actually 20 pounds.
Well, yeah, I know where it went, too. I found it.
Oh, in my head.
Yeah.
That's all you can see.
Well, I think it's nice that you're going to have a dual job during the holidays as Santa Claus at a department store.
This isn't the way to win friends and influence people, Zeb, by treating them like this.
But in your case, it's very appropriate.
Oh, that hurts.
You can't drink water over the microphone like that. You might drip on the cords and all that stuff.
I won't.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may or may not have noticed, we have Kelton Hatch with the Idaho Fish and Game, and we're in for an hour of fun and frolic, and this today is absolutely the first day ever in the history of having him on the program that we have had a triple-spaced, doubly enlarged print for me, and it's very tastefully done. I have no idea who did it for you, but it's very tastefully done. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I just felt bad for you. Merry Christmas.
It's Happy Thanksgiving first.
I know.
Okay.
I'm getting in with the retailers.
They started on the 4th of July.
We started a month or two ago. Yeah.
Hang on just a second. Don't forget the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. And today they're having barbecue pork and chili nachos with super salad for just $8.95 at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Always great food. Always super menu choices and nice people at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, along with Kelton Hatch of the Idaho Fish and Game. And, of course, we want to say thank you to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, and also some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and also Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call Kelly at 734-6969. Hunting season's still going on. And I might add, of course you have all the expertise of the knowledge, very successful hunting seasons.
It's been pretty phenomenal this year. You know, there at first was pretty concerned on the deer seasons. It was so hot and dry, and we weren't seeing the harvest success that we were anticipating. A lot of deer, but I mean, they were just scattered everywhere. That rain in August kind of made feed everywhere.
Yeah.
And so the deer were really scattered. It was warm, and they were not moving around. But, man, we've had some lunkers killed this year. I mean, just some big bucks and big bulls in all our units around here in Southeast Idaho.
I was looking at some of the pictures you brought last month of some of the elk, and then I've seen some in the paper, and, I mean, we're talking about some big boys up there.
Yeah, there's actually a buck from Idaho right now that's on Boone and Crockett's trophy watch. It was a 202, 204 typical.
Wow.
And then we've had a lot of bulls in that 375 range. Seen a couple bucks in the 245 range. And those are inches of antlers. They're Boone and Crockett measuring scores that I'm talking about. But no, we've had big animals and a lot of animals harvested this year. You know, and it was what a tremendous year it's been.
Now, what's still going on? What's the duration? I mean, when are we looking at an end date? Tell us a little bit about that so people can be aware.
You know, there's just wanted to kind of get an FYI. Things are just starting to kick off again for lions now. Mountain lion seasons are starting to kick off. Hound hunters are starting to get out there with the snow, and so
we'll that microphone up just a little.
I've got it tipped up right to the very edge. You got this just a little short stand over here, and I humped over like that guy from Notre Dame.
Oh, okay.
But Rudy, yeah, there you go. But no, we've got a lot of seasons like that going on. There's still a few late season rifle hunts going on for deer. There's a few elk hunts that are still kicking off, and so there will be people chasing elk all around the area still. And then probably the biggest thing going on right now, the waterfowl season's just been incredible.
Oh, right here at Murtaugh Lake, I mean, my goodness, bang, 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 every day.
Every day. And, you know, and this is Murtaugh Lake's kind of small potatoes when you start looking at the Snake River, because Murtaugh Lake will probably be froze up here in another day or two.
Easy.
And, you know, with these cold temperatures we've had, and everything moves to the river. And I was talking to some guys over in southeastern Idaho, and they've already seen a bunch of their ducks moved out because they've lost so much open water over there. And we've got this nice Snake River that stays open, and so a lot of ducks migrate over there. Everybody I've talked to has just been having an incredible waterfowl year. Upland game bird seasons, we got a lot of bird seasons that go clear to the end of January.
Really?
And so people have been struggling some to find chuckers and huns and a little bit, but I really think with the snow on the ground, it's going to congregate birds more. Everything has looked really good. Ruffed grouse populations, sharp-tailed grouse populations. The only thing I think we're down a little bit maybe this year from my observations, I put in probably too many hours hunting if you had talked to my wife, but we're down a little bit on pheasant numbers from what I've seen in years past. And so, but, you know, there's a lot going on. It may feel cold out there, but I can guarantee you one thing, Zeb. You get out there and you get walking around in that snow.
Oh, yeah.
Chasing birds, and it's almost too warm.
Almost for the longies and all the armor, underwear, and everything else.
Yeah, because you lather up rather quickly, and then you know.
Especially when you're overweight and out of shape like you are.
I appreciate that, Zeb.
You're welcome.
Friends like you, I'll just remember you on my Christmas list.
You never had before. Why should this year be any different?
I gave you a card last year.
Oh, whoopee!
So, but no, there's a lot going on. Just incredible harvest this year, but that brings me up to the next point that I wanted to talk about.
The harvest reports.
You're right.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't get one of those because you forgot to apply. Yeah, Zeb forgot to apply for his tag, so he didn't buy a general tag, so he didn't get a hunt.
Yep.
But harvest report cards. This is not a mandatory report, but it is so critically crucial to our management that please get those in. If you hunted deer, hunted elk, hunted anything, any big game this year, please get that in. We're actually in the process of planning next year's hunting seasons right now. Mm-hmm. And so what this harvest report does is we get these harvest reports. It tells us how many deer were killed in the given units. You fill it out, how many days you hunted. It gives us a lot of stats that we use for next year's season setting. And this is probably we can't check every deer that goes through a check station because we just can't. We just don't have the manpower or the time. So we need you guys to fill out these harvest report cards. Usually we get about 75% of them before we have our meetings.
Really?
It'd sure be nice if we had closer to 90%.
Okay.
You know, it's easy to do. You just go online, you click on Harvest Report. It's going to ask for your first initial and your last name, or just your last name and your hunting license number or your tag number.
Mm-hmm.
You type that in, and it's going to ask you a series of like 12 questions. You just click on it and zip it off. If you don't have a computer, call us at the office, and one of our front office staff will just sit there. They'll get that information from you and fill it out for you.
Absolutely.
You just have to talk to them, so please get those done.
Absolutely. Okay, now, I want to also talk about something that has bugged me ever since I started having the fishing game on my program, and you know it's
That's a long list, isn't it?
Well, no, and this is all seriousness, really, because I abhor anybody that would be up as a poacher, and it seems like you've had quite a few problems this year with poaching. Tell us about it.
Well, this one right here is just, I just don't even fathom it, Zeb. You know, the other day we had 17 or 18 ducks that just turned up in a back alley in Buell.
17 ducks in a back alley?
Yeah, they weren't just hanging out doing bad things. They were dead. You know, somebody had shot them and just tossed them out and left them in the alley. But this one is even more egregious to me. There was a 3x4 buck, and then there was a doe shot and left near Tupper Grade in the middle of a hayfield.
I think those pictures were in the paper.
They were.
Yeah, I saw that, and I told my wife, I says, why?
And it's just, I have no understanding of why this, and this year has just been a really weird year. I mean, we've probably had, it's not like there's been more poaching cases, but there's just been more weird ones with just shot and left animals. You know, we always have poaching cases, but typically things are shot and parts or pieces are taken off of them.
Yeah.
These are just shot and left, and I mean, this is like the 6th or 7th one. They don't look like they're related in any way, shape, or form. These were shot with a double-aught buck. They're shot with shotguns. Mm-hmm. It's a short-range weapon area. Yeah. It most likely was a run-and-gun. Somebody's driving down the road, had a tag for that area, jumped out, shot, but but it was in a hayfield, and they didn't dare pick it up, afraid they'd get busted for, trespassing or something. Really. And so, but I don't know. I don't understand this mentality. If anybody has any information on this or any other cases, though, that they know of, and this is kind of interesting. I've told you this before. About 90% of our cases are solved by sportsmen, ex-wives, or ex-girlfriends.
And I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but sometimes the greatest places of obtaining this information are at bars and grills at about 5 o'clock at night.
Yeah, when people start getting
loosening the lips a little bit.
Loosening the lips. And so, but if you hear of anything, there's a cash reward available for this. You can remain completely anonymous. Just call 1-800-632 5999. That's a 24-hour-a-day cap hotline, or you can call the fishing game at
324-4359.
You're like a steel trap.
Yeah. See, I didn't cheat either.
You didn't cheat. You did. You looked up in the air, and you got it written on the ceiling. There it is.
I guess so, yeah.
No,
seriously, I can't understand why this is an annual problem. I mean, are the laws not tough enough? Are the court systems not tough enough? Are the sentences not tough enough, or all of the above?
How long do you have? I mean, that's the toughest part about the law system is, how can we be really, really, really pound people for a poaching violation when people aren't getting pounded for crimes against humans?
Yeah, true.
It's just, we'd like to be able to pull hunting licenses for life, or give them financial fines that really whacked them. So that
wait a minute, pardon my interruption on this, but really, when you say you're going to pull their license for life, evidently the license doesn't mean anything to them because they're going against the license anyway.
Well, and that's what happens. I mean, it's kind of interesting. People that lose their license usually get caught. Not usually, but some of them that are habitual, they never have cared about the license anyway, and so they go out and do it. And so I don't know. It's got to be a change in mentality, and people have to be willing to turn in other people.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that's going to stop this. And, and the thing is we hear about it all the time. I mean, sportsmen have to stand up for things like this, because otherwise they're going to continue losing opportunities, because it just gives the other side more fodder to come against us on they classify all these people as sportsmen, and these poachers aren't sportsmen.
No. And here we are in a society today where any and all bad publicity towards any subject is going to be magnified 10 times, especially back east and all the media, the newspapers, magazines, etc. And there is a rampant effort right now to stop hunting, and you don't need these bad apples in the barrel.
No, you don't. Well, it was kind of interesting. I was sitting here I hadn't heard about this bear case she was talking about earlier, about this young lady that was from SMU, I think you said.
I think so, yeah. And it came out yesterday on the news. A very, very sweet young girl. She goes hunting with her dad, and she shot her first bear. And I'll pull that story up and get it to you. But she shot her first bear, legal hunting permits, everything. And she's been getting death threats. And also these humane activists have been saying they're going to kill her dog and everything. I mean, it's so absolutely ridiculous.
You see, and that's they try justifying their actions, for her harvesting a bear by killing something else.
That's exactly right.
When it's legal to do what she's done, and that's the issue we face. It makes me saddened to think, we harvest several hundred bears every year, more than 1,000 in Idaho,
And she was very eloquent on television when they interviewed her, and she did, I think, an outstanding job of saying that without the harvesting of the animals, the letting them run rampant and basically take over areas today, they have to have management. She was very, very well-versed.
You have to, unless we get rid of all the human race.
There you go.
You have to manage. We manage all wildlife, and it's just not game animals. It's got to be predators also. So, now, that makes me sad. So, just be on the lookout. If you see anything hinky or weird going on, give us a holler.
But there again, and it's funny how we evolved into that story about that girl with the bear hunting, because then the next category you've got on your sheet is share your hunting photos. Well, that's how she got in trouble in the first place.
Yeah, and I personally, I think the single best thing we can do is just keep it out there in the public's eye. They, I love looking at hunting photos. Several of our media organizations around here use them. We have them on our website, and that's what I was going to kind of talk to you about. I use them in my Sportsman's Calendar hunting photos. We're looking for tasteful photos. When you take a picture of one of your game animals, try to make it very tasteful. I usually will actually set it up so it's kind of like it's in a setting, just a laying position, and wipe blood off of where I'm taking the side that I'm taking the picture of around its mouth and stuff like that. Then I usually don't have rifles in them and things like that. Some people do, which is completely fine, but try to take it, because that's part of it. I love the photos that I look back on from my childhood or with my children.
Absolutely.
It's memories, and so we just want folks to share those with us. Just kind of give us a brief description of it, and then email it to us at fishandgame.idaho.gov/contact/gallery, or you can just go to our website, and the Fish and Game website, and it shows where you can share your photos. We're getting photos from all over Idaho, and it's just kind of a fun place to display these photos.
Some of the photos that have been taken right up here south of me in the South Hills are outstanding.
Well, they are, and those are, a lot of the ones we're seeing as those trophies, but some of my favorite pictures to look at is a little kid with their first doe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got this grin from ear to ear on this little kid, and it's
and some of the girls, their smiles are really something.
Oh, it is. It's just amazing to see those. It's kind of funny because and it means something to these kids, and I think we need to be able to carry this heritage on. It was like, I can still remember the first turkey my son shot when he was 10 years old, and he says, we were sitting down for Sunday dinner, and we have our blessing, and we're ready to eat. And he goes, "Well, is everybody forgetting something?" And I go, "What's that? We prayed. We don't know." He says, "Well, you forgot to thank me for the meat."
10 years old. Huh?
10 years old, because his first contribution to the family's dinner, he'd been up to there. He'd been a gardener, helping mom in the garden. But I thought, isn't that awesome that he has that kind of pride? And I love to see these kids have that. The first deer, get to utilize that meat, the family does, and it's pretty cool. So share those photos with us. You can put a brief description. The example they say, Jennifer Smith, age 12, with her first deer.
Absolutely.
Just put those little brief descriptions on there. We don't need the hot spot areas or anything like that, but we'd like to share those photos with the rest of the state.
I just hope and pray that the animal activists and the don't hunters and that type of thing, they never get anything more than what they have now. I hope they basically go off into obscurity, because it's a tool, it's a management tool, but then also I look at the hunting like when a year ago when Jake and I and Deanna and everybody went up on the hill. It's kind of a bonding issue for a family, to really, whether you get anything or not. It's a real bonding and very entertaining issue.
I totally agree, Zeb. I've had the very best conversations with my kids, one-on-one on hunting trips.
Yeah.
My youngest son's at home, and we're fortunate. We get to go out quite a bit together, and we get to talk about everything. It just draws you that much closer.
Well, you'll laugh about this because you are a much better hunter than I am, and there's no doubt about it. You shoot guns more than I do. I
put more time into it.
Yeah, you do, and I don't have all that time. But I've always, since I was a little boy, used an open sight rifle. Yeah. Open sight, never a scope. And one of the memories I'll never forget is a year ago, and I told you this on the air, way back in about 30 miles up here in Unit 54. Jake and I were together, and we saw a big old buck, and he says, "Here, don't use your Winchester 30-30, use mine with the scope." And by the time I finally found the deer in that scope, he'd run off.
He was in Nevada by then.
I think he was down by Jackpot someplace. Yeah. But, it's just little things like that I'll never forget.
And neither will he.
Yeah.
Your son. It's just, that's a neat thing about any of these activities. And so, I don't know. Just get out there and remember it in photographs. And there's a lot of good to come from hunting and fishing and stuff like that.
And for the people that have sent their pictures in, and you've had some that you showed us last month, and then there's also been quite a few turned into the newspaper and everything. You can just see the pride. And it's not for the sake of killing, it's for the sake of being outdoors and enjoying some of God's greatest blessings.
Oh, it is. Well, this is kind of interesting because people think, hunters are so hardcore and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got a son that's 6'4", 200 plus pounds, and he's harvested a lot of animals.
Yeah.
But it's still a very emotional thing for him. He doesn't cry he shed a few tears when he was younger, but you see he gets very solemn because it means a lot to him when he does, he harvests something. My wife this year, she'd whack me, but no, she gets kind of teary-eyed each time she harvests an animal.
She gets teary-eyed just being married to you.
Well, I don't blame her there. I always told her, I says, if we, you should be a saint. When you die, they'll just give you sainthood just for...
Didn't you see the wings hanging up on the back porch for Deanne?
Yeah. Well, no doubt.
Yeah.
But, my wife's in that same boat. But, she loves to hunt because we get to spend time together.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just good meat, and that's the big thing. We just love eating what we harvest.
All right. We are going to take a commercial break here and then send it back over to our main studios, and then we've got a lot more to talk about trapping and a lot of other things with Kelton Hatch, Fish and Game. Your calls are welcome. Stand by. I want to remind you, too, about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell and his entire staff. I'll tell you, folks, I've been there and been going in and using the pool for hydrotherapy, absolutely first class. All of their exercises from their staff to help you get back to being you. Stop in, give them a call, find out more about an excellent facility, and that's, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Call Nick up and just discuss with him what your needs are, and he'll help you along with the rest of the staff. Jordan and Jeff and Orlando and Emily and Kelly and Tia and Jared, all of those folks there to serve you at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, 678-1191. Right now, we're going to send this back over to Gina for a couple of minutes and then be back with more with the Idaho Fish and Game Report with Kelton Hatch. Stay tuned.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
We're back on the air. I didn't hear everything as what was going on because we were conversing. And Kelton Hatch, Idaho Fish and Game, is with us on the program this morning. Always look forward to those days during the month when he's here representing the Idaho Fish and Game. We have a caller with a question, and then I'll do a quick commercial break. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I was wondering, Kelton, is pheasant season still open?
It is.
It is?
It is. I'm trying to remember the exact dates. Because
the reason I'm asking is because I drive through an area a couple times a day, and I have never seen a pheasant there at all year, forever. And then it's like, yesterday there's like, I don't know, 10 roosters right there just off the side of the road. So it's like somebody just come along and dumped them all out.
Well, it's going on? It's called manna from heaven. No, we do have a couple places. There's a place out by Paul that we release a few pheasants out there, and then we release them down on the WMA also. But it was kind of funny. I was headed up chucker hunting the other day, and the same thing had happened after that snowstorm. I go around the corner, and there's 5 roosters and 4 hens standing out in the middle of a plowed field. Then I went and walked for 4 hours, and my dogs never pointed a bird. But so I think it's just because of this cold weather. Those birds are they're hungry. They're getting out more right now. They have to feed more hours a day because it's so cold. And
it's over by Paul, so that's probably where they dumped them out.
Yeah, it might be that area that we release a few birds at over there.
Okay, caller, thank you for your call. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I was just going to say, pheasant season goes around over in the Burley area until November 30th, and then December 31st, and the rest in Twin Falls in that area.
Okay. All right, thank you. Hey, stand by. Snyder's Surplus, 112 South, 200 west of Rupert. Hey, they've got a brand new shipment of something you should be interested in, Kelton. Thermal undies. And they've got all the wool socks. They've got all the shoes. They've got all the wool blankets. They got everything to keep you comfy while you're up at that hunting cabin. And don't forget, too, they got all the furniture like couches and chairs and filing cabinets, everything. This is a store that has everything. Snyder's Surplus, 112 South, 200 west of Rupert. Brand new building, brand new merchandise, and the same great friendly service at Snyder's Surplus. You stop over and see those folks today.
I may have to run over there.
Believe me, go in there, and it's really fun to take a walk through there and find out what they've got. They've got so much. I think you'll enjoy it, and you'll thank me for it. Trapping. What are some of the possible trapping changes you want to talk about this morning?
Well, and I don't want to get people too wound up on some of this, but just to throw this out there, we're going to be having some meetings. I was talking about we're going to have our big game meetings. We're probably going to be talking a little bit about this matter. They're looking at having a mandatory trapper education.
And that's not a bad thing, though, is it?
It's not. It just depends on how it goes into effect. We may, whether they grandfather the old trappers that have been trapping for 40 years and they could teach the class themselves, or if it's just going to be for the newer folks that are coming in. So we're looking at doing that. If you're interested in trapping or you trap, would love to see you at the meetings. I'll talk to you about the meetings that we're going to have on the radio show here probably next month. I should have those dates, hopefully. Okay. But just to let folks know that we are looking at doing that, having that. We had a couple dogs that were killed domestic dogs. New trappers had gone into an area and set traps up in areas that they shouldn't have been, and they was using conibears, which is a kill trap, which is very humane for trapping other animals, but you don't want to catch your black lab in one.
Absolutely.
Because, and that's what it's basically going to be, as a class on ethics and a class on being smart.
The thing is, and I think you'll agree with me on this, by showing that there is a concern about the safety and the awareness of what should be done and shouldn't be done, I think it takes away the criticism from the other side.
Well, it does, and that's why we're looking at doing this. And so I just know that when people have been doing something for a lot of years, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in and wants to make them take a class on it,
they get a little uppy.
It can get a little bit alley. But the thing is we're just really trying to make sure we can preserve this practice. It's interesting because 95% of the time when I give a presentation, I like bringing up trapping. It's a very controversial thing. I'm 110% for it because I'm 110% for management of wildlife, and trapping is the only way that we can manage some wildlife. And people don't really complain. They complain about trapping until a beaver builds a dam in a creek by the house that floods their basement.
Absolutely. There's one thing to be said, though. When you mentioned earlier that the old 40-year-old trapper is probably going to sit there and fume and fuss that he has to go to a class, I will say this. I think it goes with my real estate license. We have to take continuing education classes, and I don't care who they are or what you think you are, you always learn something.
Well, you do. The thing I like about having those guys is because I've trapped for quite a few years.
Yeah.
But I love talking to these old trappers because they can teach me so much.
There you go.
And, that's kind of what I would like to see. This is more of an exchange of ideas and stuff on this. And so, but the other portion of the trapping thing I was going to talk about, we're having wolf trapping classes. We've already had our one in the Magic Valley that we're planning on this year. But if you're still interested in the wolf trapping class, November 15th, we have one in Nampa. And November 21st, we have one in Coeur d'Alene. And November 22nd, we have a wolf trapping class.
Whoa, the ones you mentioned are over already.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
I forget. Man, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
I guess they are. So we've had all our we may be having
the
one
on the 22nd still good.
Yeah, and that's over in Idaho Falls.
Yeah.
So we'll mention that one. I guess that's right. I forgot what day it was.
And they leave you alone to drive by yourself, do they?
And I'll tell you a story about that later.
Never mind. Let's take this caller quick. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, I want to compliment Kelton. Of all of Zeb's show, you're the part I enjoy the most. You give me the most information, and you hardly ever repeat anything. It's always fresh, good, clear, concise. I just hope you keep on doing what you're doing with Zeb's show, and I'd sure like to hear you on a couple other places because this really helps me.
All right.
A bunch, and what you always have to say is very interesting.
Jerry, I appreciate your call this morning, and I know Kelton does too. He's puffing up like an old toad over there.
Turning a little red.
There you go. Thanks, Jerry. God bless you, man.
Have a wonderful day, and may the Lord bless.
He already has. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. I got to get this commercial in real fast. I want to say thank you, and these people wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Burley Glass, 1029 Overland in Burley with Gentle Ben and the whole crew, and they've got your cold weather needs. Replace those old drafty windows with Western windows. Get the best and stay nice and warm and toasty, and call them today at 678-1459. Burley Glass, happy Thanksgiving. Along with Sandy Sewing Center, this lady has a huge selection of Mountain House quality food storage products, and she can fix your sewing machines, and she's got a great selection of polar fleece and all the fabrics at Sandy Sewing Center, 1234 Oakley Avenue in Burley, and also Easy Money Pawn and Auto at 200 Overland in Burley. Christmas toy drive is going on right now. Bring in an unwrapped toy and enter your name to win one of the 3 packages they've got over there that they're going to be drawing for. And Easy Money Pawn and Auto says, Happy Thanksgiving. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to all those great businesses. Wishing you a great turkey day on Thanksgiving. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning. I just have a quick comment. The Kimberly Library has both the DVD and the book on the trapping, on the classes and things that they give. That I think they use them in the classes, or at least if people are interested and thought they might be, they should go look at those. and then they could decide if they want to trap.
There you go. There you go. Now, I know that lady. I know that lady. And there's nobody that's more of an outdoors lady than she is.
Cool.
And she was raised in Minnesota, and she understands all the wildlife and the issues outdoors.
She didn't even sound like a Minnesotan.
Minnesota, we all change a little bit when we get away. Sven and Ole, they still there with their accent, though.
No, I appreciate that call. That's good. Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff on trapping that you can get.
Okay, let's talk about wolf trapping classes. That's another category that you wanted to talk about.
Well,
that's
what we kind of talked about. That the one you said that all my classes were over except the one in 20. So we've got that the wolf trapping class. Just to kind of give you guys a little bit background on that. We do have trapping opportunities closer here to out in Unit 45 on private land or up in 43 and things like that. But if you're interested in going to the wolf trapping class, it's not a lot on techniques. It's mostly, it allows you to be able to trap. You have to have it. It's a mandatory class, and it's just the best practices type class on trying to be ethical and being safe with your traps. Because instead of using a 1.5 or smaller traps, 2s or 3s. These are big traps, and they can hold a moose. And so you really need to be smart on placement of them. And the biggest portion of the class is on bycatch.
Really?
And that means catching non-target animals. And so we really try to work with people so that when they're setting traps, that they don't catch non-target animals,
including themselves.
That's going to happen.
There's nothing more disconcerting than to walk to your pickup and go to the doctor with a trap on your butt.
Yeah, well, I would not. I've never had one on my butt, but I've had a few on my fingers. But no, that class, we only have that one left for this year. But if we get enough interest, we'd have another one. Okay. That last class we're talking about is November 22nd.
Now you have a category here that really, when you think about it, you're not jumping the gun. It's probably right as a good idea at this time. Christmas ideas. I tell you what, hold that thought on that. We'll take this caller.
Okay, sounds good.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was wanting to ask Kelton there, is Idaho ever thinking about doing a point system so that a person has a little better chance of drawing? And then my second question was for him to, are they ever thinking about doing a predator program like Utah does with their coyotes? And that's all I need to address those questions.
All right, caller, and thank you. By the way, neighbor, it's good to hear from you. I know who that is. What about the point system? We've discussed that in the past.
We have. Probably the easiest, we discuss the point system about every year.
Yep.
And, I appreciate this gentleman's call because the more people that move into Idaho and the more coveted these tags, especially in south central Idaho where we're at, almost everything's controlled. You have to drive a pretty decent piece, unless you go hunt 56 and stuff like that to hunt a general hunt. So what I would suggest is if you have access to a computer, go to Fish and Game, all written in one word, on YouTube, and then type in point system. We have 3 videos on there that Regan Berkeley, a biologist, she used to be in our region, put together on how point systems work. And it was their YouTube videos, very informational. I'd love you to sit down and watch them. And the commission, I know that they're looking at. We're always looking at different things. We've looked at point systems. We looked at if you apply for this tag, you can't make them put some of our deer and some of our elk tags and some of our pronghorn tags maybe in the trophy regulations where it's a once in a lifetime hunt. Or if you apply for those, that's the only animal you can apply for, like the trophies. But you can hunt one every 5 years if you happen to draw. Increasing the price of those permits for the trophy permits. We hate doing that just because of the economic division that we get. But
let me ask you this: is the point system per se really more fair and equitable?
There's such a. I don't feel it is myself, and the reason is when you get little kids. All of a sudden, you've been putting in. We start a point system this year.
Yeah.
And everybody's buying points. And like in Utah, I played the point game down in Utah. I play it in Arizona. I play it in Nevada for my bighorn sheep because I'm really trying to I would love to draw a California bighorn, a desert sheep.
Right.
But there for a while in Utah, I had 15 sheep points. Well, when I first started buying, I was only 8 points, really, or 9 points behind on my deer and my elk, because I bought a bunch of points. I'm not explaining this very well. But the thing is after having 15 points, I still only had 0.001% chance of drawing a sheep tag.
I see.
After 15 points, because everybody else in town had the same amount of points as I did.
Absolutely.
And so it really never increased. Point systems help on easier draws, like in the South Hills where it's a 1 and 5, 1 and 6. Yeah, you should be able to draw a tag about every 5 to 6 years. However, when you get into units like Unit 45 or the late season 54 hunt where there's only 25 tags and there's 1 in 20, 1 in 30 drawing odds, it really never helps because it's going to take you 30 years to ever get to the point. What usually happens, you get your max points and you're setting on 15, you're trying to draw that hunt, and you're saying, well, I got more points, so I'm going to put in for that hunt, and then all of a sudden, I want to hunt something, and so I just put in for a tag that's 1 in 15 drawing odds, and I draw one that year, and then I start over again.
You got to start all over.
I've got friends down in Utah. The only place they hunt is Idaho because they buy points down there, but it takes them 15 to 18 years to draw a tag.
Wow. I got to do a weather forecast. Weather forecast brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. How does a smoked ham or smoked turkey from Scarrows Meats sound for Thanksgiving? Delicious. Better order yours right now. All you have to do is remember that number and give them a call. 324-7657. They guarantee everything they sell, and they sell taste one bite at a time. Scarrows Meats in Jerome. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is at the ranch. Slight chance of snow coming up tonight. Temperatures are going to be right around low 20s. High today. It's going to be near 35. It's going to be cloudy. And then the fun starts tonight going into tomorrow. You get a break on Friday. And then it really starts to kick in Friday night and Saturday. What's happening is that you've got a little bit of an inversion, and you got a cold front coming in that's going to try and break that inversion. And the last time I saw this happen, the cold front broke the inversion, but the cold front stalled. Instead of getting 2 inches of snow on the ground, you got 6. So let's see what happens after that. This is very interesting. Otherwise, the weather will not be boring from the day going on into the weekend because you're going to go back and forth between either snow or rain showers or both. And the consistent thing about the whole nature of it is that your temperature is going to be right around freezing for the daytime high and in the low 20s for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. Yep. Selling taste, one bite at a time. Real quick, I got 3 more subjects to go through, and I keep this short and brief. We've only got about 8 minutes left here. Christmas ideas.
Well, I wanted to. Can I jump back to one other thing? That gentleman just did ask about our predator bounty that Utah had, and so we probably never will on that predator bounty. The thing about you increase. I don't know. If you could give me a holler on that sometime, just call me at the office at 324-4359. I'd love to talk to you about the dynamics of coyote populations and stuff. And I do know a lot of dogs that get shot in Idaho that get paid for bounties in Utah. And so I don't foresee this because in some areas it does increase fawn survival if it's done at the right time, but for just removing coyotes randomly throughout the year, you just do not see any. From any of the research, we haven't been able to see any actual help on that. So, but give me a holler.
All right. Let me ask you about this thing quickly. Christmas ideas.
Christmas ideas.
I'm assuming that has to do with licenses.
It does. Gift certificates, licenses. Sportsman's package, single best present I ever got from my mother. My mother would buy that every year for me, a sportsman's package.
Really?
So I had all my tags for the year. What more better gift can you get? A gift that lasts 365 days.
There you go.
So stop by the office and you can get a gift certificate. You can go to any of the vendors around here and buy gift cards for their stores, which can be used for hunting and fishing.
I never had a chance to go fishing this year. Not once, not even once, at Rockies even. And you know the reason is my feelings are hurt. No, I am. I'm going to quit even thinking about fishing because I have been lied to. I've been taken down a narrow path of no return by Doug McGargle of the Fishing Game that had promised to take me fishing 7 years ago, and now going into year number 8, I'm selling my rods and reels and everything else.
How much you want for them?
To you?
So,
do you think he'll ever show up at my doorstep?
He felt that the electro-fishing, teaching you to fish with electricity counted.
Yeah, but also he's the one that wants to take me ice fishing.
Well,
I don't want to go ice fishing.
I would love to take you ice fishing.
I know you would.
Go check and see if it's thick enough, Zeb.
No, but that's a nice idea for Christmas present and stocking stuff.
Oh, it's a great present. So good time to get if you're the hard to buy for old man like
me.
You just get him that.
But as far as McGargle's concerned, you might tell him that his Christmas present's in the mail.
Okay.
If he hears it ticking, not to worry about it.
Okay. Sounds good.
What's this about joining the Fishing Game on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or email, whatever?
I'm just throwing it out there to folks. We're just I'm becoming a YouTuber, Zeb.
You are?
I am.
With all those racy videos and everything?
No, I make hunting and fishing. And
you're making videos?
I make videos on projects we're working on.
No kidding.
And so if you go to YouTube,
Steven Spielberg of the Fishing Game.
No, mine are a minute 30.
That's probably long enough.
They are. And it just kind of tells people what we're doing, different projects we're doing.
Do you turn around and smile at the camera and say, hi, I'm Kelton Hatch?
I try not to video myself.
Really?
Yeah. And so I try to...
as big as you are.
Yeah, it is. Okay. But I try to stay behind it and get kids and stuff like that just to show you.
Did you show them out fishing?
We are working on... We're just really getting started on it right now, and so we will have fishing videos.
Really?
I'm trying to do one every other week right now. So you can go to Facebook.
That's a good idea.
It's kind of fun. I'm not a Facebooker, but we got guys in the office that are Facebookers, so we've got a Region 4 Facebook page. You can go on there, friend us, then we'll send you updates and meeting plans and all of that stuff when we're having them, and then it has links to the videos that we make on YouTube on there, so you can just click on your Facebook and watch the video.
So you got a camera with you all the time in your pickup?
I'm videoing you right now, Zeb.
No, you're not. I'm videoing you, though. There's the camera.
I actually do have a camera in my truck right now, but then we also send out tweets. I don't do a lot of this stuff. I just make the videos.
Since when did you get so high-tech?
High-tech redneck. Mayberry meets Star Trek.
There you go, Barney. Put your one bullet in the pocket and let's go hunting.
Yeah, no doubt. And then we also have an email list. And so if you're not getting enough information on Fishing Game, just call us. We'll put your email address in there, and then we have a mail-out list, and we try to send you all our literature that we're putting out, or when we send out YouTube videos, we send a little emailer out. When we have meetings, we send an emailer out. When we have Sportsman's Breakfast, it's just we don't overbook you. We only send out maybe an email every 2 weeks.
Hey, by the way, when's the new regional director going to appear on this program that was supposed to be here in November and supposed to be here in October?
He's on his way back. He just was up north and he shot him 2 deer and 3 turkeys.
Really?
Legally, because you can do that up north. Yeah. And, I'm just glad he's out hunting.
What's his name again? Tony?
Toby Boudreau.
Toby Boudreau.
French-Canadian man.
Yeah, his great-great-great-grandfather was the star of the French-Canadian Trapper in the movie Centennial.
Oh, really?
I'm just kidding.
He could have been. I know, he's a trapping fool.
Hey, by the way, don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. If you are ready for winter driving, you're not? Well, you better get in there today and check out all the traction tires and check out the tires that are pinned for studs and check out all the tire chains. You don't want to be sitting on the side of the road watching the rest of the traffic go by. You want to make sure that you're ready for safe wintertime driving. And at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, they have all the great traction tires for you, including all the batteries. Boy, these cold winter mornings, you want that key to go to the right and say, yep, we will, instead of no, we won't. Check out the batteries today at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We got through this whole program.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It was fun.
I love hearing from the callers. And
what are you going to do for Thanksgiving? Go back over home to Eastern Idaho?
No, my family's coming over here. We're going to shoot a little trap. We're going to eat a little turkey. Going to eat a little pig.
You set up the trap machine out on the golf course?
No, I just set it up there, right by the horse pen. I kick the horses out in the big 40, and then we just shoot trap.
Shoot to the east, right?
Yeah, shoot to the east.
Shoot to the east.
Yeah,
I'll bet your neighbors love you at 6 o'clock in the morning.
They feel like they really got a redneck for a neighbor.
Martha, we moved into a war zone.
We try to keep it to a dull roar most of the times. And when we shoot trap on.
How do you dull roar 16 12-gauge guns?
Well, we only do it for an hour or two. Hey, it's Thanksgiving. That's what you do in Idaho.
You bet. You really outrage the neighbors.
You break clay.
You break clay. Oh, dear. Hey, listen, we'll plan on next month, won't we?
You bet.
Okay. And then you can bring my Christmas present.
I'll try to.
Oh, it's that big?
It is. I don't know that I can probably heft it.
I see. Which means I get nothing again.
Well, it just depends on whether it melts.
Okay.
I got this big block of ice in my driveway.
Tomorrow on the program, we'll start at 8:06 and ride the horse for 3 hours right here on Zebeth Ranch. Tune in and remember always, the way things were or the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning, Zebeth Ranch.